And I'm back in full effect, chewing on a cough drop. Hopefully I don't choke. Anybody know CPR, something like that, just in case. So, welcome to the show. Let me make sure that everything is running hunky-dory with this internet and with my speaker. I tried to get that gnat before I started. It's always one. It's always, is that a secret gnat somebody done sent in? Yeah. Oh, well, it looked like I'm starting over here. Yeah. So it looks like I can see myself starting on my other laptop. Can everybody else? Everybody else see me? Can you hear me? Check one, check two. Breaker 19. 1 2 1 2. All right. If you're on YouTube watching me, please let me know if you can hear me. And if you're on Facebook, I see people giving me the thumbs up. Welcome to the show. Before we get started, let's go through some preliminaries. Now, I'm still figuring out a couple things. I got my new setup, right? And it seems to be working well. I'm getting a lot of text messages to this number behind me. Unfortunately, I'm still working on how to figure out how to send this to individuals without it including all of y'all in the same thing. It's funny because y'all done jumped into conversations and stuff. I didn't mean to send it, as a group text. I meant to send it individually, but I started looking and everybody's chit-chatting, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, maybe, okay, I'll do it. So I'm working on that. However, it is working because every time I get done with the show, I see a lot of people texting this number and they say MAGA, and I respond manually. That is me, guys. I stay up all night responding to y'all. If there's a little delay for my responses, because I'm a human and I gotta sleep. All right. But rest and assure I will respond. It is me. And when you get a text, it's coming from me. It's not a robot or anything. So let's play nice just in case you see other people in the little chat. Now, with that being said, please do that so you can stay in tune with what is going on with my channel, because they're playing games. I'm about to tell y'all the latest shenanigans. They just did, y'all. So before I do that, please text to 330-974, well, like Joe Biden, 974-4607, and text the word MAGA, and then I'll respond. You'll be in my corner and you'll get text messages from me as well. Now, if you've already signed up for the prior number, you can stay there or you can transfer over to this number. In fact, I would encourage you, because they limit the amount of text messages that I could send out on that other one. So, you can do both, but I would encourage you to come over to this number. So yeah, they played games, y'all. So the last live show that we did, we had all that fun. I was dropping all them nuggets. Do you know they ripped that live stream right off the internets, man? Said I violated some kind of copyright, violation. I'm like, what? They didn't tell me. They didn't tell me what I did. What part did I violate? They just snatched it. Now, here's the problem with that. All of those that participated in the super chat, unfortunately, I don't even know where your money went. I mean, those that have dedicated a little bit of cheese to me, I don't know if YouTube keeps it. I don't know if they just put it in a queue. I don't know what happened. So a couple things that, if you can, we're going to stick it to them. All right. Remember, I mentioned to y'all one of these days I'm going to do like a pledge $10 show, something like that, because YouTube's killing me. They're trying to kill me, y'all. And I hate doing this, man. I hate doing this. Number one, if you do want to participate in the super chat, instead of sending it to the super chat and relying on YouTube, send it to my PayPal or my Cash App, which is in the links below my videos in the about section. Number two, yeah, they trying to play with my money. Man, they ain't giving me, they starting to mess around with the monetization and all of that stuff. So one of these, matter of fact, let's do it this video if you can. And once again, I'm not saying you got to, because I know sometimes the children got to eat, but just to offset that, and I hate relying on this, but that's all we can rely on is each other at this point, because they're doing everything they can to stick it to our people, man, our commentators, our channels, all of that stuff. So I thought about it. I said, man, you know what? If everybody who watches one video one day say, you know what, a $10 one time, let's do an offering, one time, $10 offering. Well, I ain't gonna go out and buy no Cadillac, but if y'all do it, what it will do is offset what they're playing, games with. All right. It's up to you. If you can do it, that'd be great. If you can't, it don't matter. I'll survive somehow. Maybe I'm not going to go out and prostitute myself. I'll tell you that much. I'll go out and break some bricks or something if I have to. But it will help me handle stuff here so I can provide content for you guys in the way that I want to. Plus, there's some things I want to add and increase to the show to bring even more content. So, you know, it is what it is. Back in the day before they start messing with me, everything was great. But everything is still great. You know, I ain't gonna complain about it. Now, hit that like button, share my videos, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, all those other joints. Check out the podcast. These are all converted into podcast. And make sure you're still subscribed. Make sure your notifications are set to all. And boy, do we got some stuff to talk about tonight, man. Yeah, after y'all hear this show, you might be like, you know what? Forget $10. I'm pledging 20. Yeah, that's right. Will you come? Is there one? All right, let's get busy, y'all. Let me get loose, man. I've been waiting for this one. Real gorilla. Real gorilla. Real gorilla. There's some kings in the building. Gorillas in here. Gorilla in here. Gorillas in here. Gorillas in here. That's right, y'all. Some gorillas in here. And there's some fools in here, too. Starting off with this
Hey there, folks. It's your old pal, Joe Biden, and I've got something sniff-tastic to share with you today. Have you ever wondered what you're missing out on by not having a super sniffer like me? Well, wonder no more. Whether it's a bouquet of roses, kids, or even a bowl of that delicious ice cream, nothing escapes the nose of the Sniff-O-Matic 3000. With the Sniff-O-Matic 3000, you'll never miss out on life's incredible scents again. It's like having a party for your nose.
And Hunter knows something about that, too. He has a party for his nose all the time. Dang on it. His nose likes to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. Hunter got a sniffing problem too, and it ain't no hair. See, that's the problem. It ain't no hair. But you see Joe up in his big old pimp suit right there. Yeah, sir, sniffing a lot. You see him up there? Let's see.
Don't tell mommy what I
Don't tell mommy.
Get the Sniff-O-Matic 3000 at sleepyjoesniffs.com.
Sleepyjoesniffs.com. There you go. Anybody want a better sniffer? No, I don't want that kind of sniffer. I don't need that kind of nose. That nose goes in places that I don't want to go. Dang on it. He puts his nose in stuff that has no business putting your nose in. So there you have it. And that's probably accurate as far as that big old pimp suit, that pimp suit right there. Yeah, because he's been pimping the United States for a long time right about now. That's what he is. He's a washed up old raggedy one, but that's what he is. And that video was put together by Zeus Juice. Yeah, I found it online today, and I was like, the sniffer? It's the sniffer. You know how you get those ads and stuff about new products? I was like, wait a minute. I'd like a better sniffer. And I clicked on it, and it was creepy. Jump back for a second. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. It's just a meme video. There you go. So there you go. The Sniffer 2000 or something like that. But let's get serious about how crazy he is right about now. Check this out.
It's not hyperbole to suggest there's no national treasure. None that is grander than the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon, one of the Earth's 9 wonders. Wonders of the world.
Hold on. Wait a minute. One of the Earth's how many? All right. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, maybe my math is off.
Literally. Think of that. You know, it's amazing. First time I saw the Grand Canyon years ago, I was a young senator. Okay. As I stood there and looked out, a phrase came to mind. It was instinctive. I said, this is God's cathedral. That's what it reminded me of. It just is so magnificent.
Now, do you believe that? Do you believe that's the first? I mean, how many of these lies Joe got to come up with in these tall tales and stories? You know, he's incapable of telling the truth. There's always going to be some type of story that he feels is applicable to the situation. So he wants to make it seem like, you know, not a joke. I was there and I looked out and I said, you know what? That's God's green earth. And I said, you know what? It reminds me when God walked on water and called out and said, let there be light and all that stuff. Then he created Corn Pop. That's right. And that's when me and Corn Pop fought right down there in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Tore that whole sucker up, and that's how you got the big hole there. Corn Pop and I, with the switchblades, cut that hole right in the earth. This guy right there is Sir Lie-A-Lot, too. Not only Sir Sniff-A-Lot.
As a matter of fact, I said 9. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Joe with those numbers again. What did I say? What? Somebody's in my ear. What? I did it again? So stop trying to go off script. Okay, it's 9 and not 7. What? What? I'm still on. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it was 9. Yes, that guy. Him. He's our so-called president. Look, here's more.
Ball in the park with them. You sign jerseys with their names of the children that are lost on it.
Right.
I mean, it really, it validates in ways I don't think you really understand. You hosted the Uvalde Storm Day, Strong Day.
The Uvalde Storm Day. The guy is so insincere. And he tries to look, he does it to the point where trying to look sincere becomes insincere. He almost is like Captain Kirk. You see it all intense and everything. And I'm saying, pull back a little bit. You're trying to look sincere, which makes me feel you're not sincere. You don't have any feelings. This man right here is a sociopath. So I know all of this crap that he's talking about means nothing to him. Okay, this is the same guy who's been coming out telling everybody his son died over in Afghanistan. Now, if you could drop that out there just like that and feel nothing, you're a sociopath. This is the same guy who his daughter in her diary said daddy was taking showers with her. That's right. Nobody's ever even questioned him on it. I just don't understand why. Somebody go get me my press pass, because that would be my question every time for Blackgate drop. Excuse me. Let me guess, Kevin. You want to know about those diaries and those showers? Yes, I do. Did you finally ask the president about that? No? Okay, I'll be back tomorrow to ask again, okay? I would ask until they come out and have to explain that. But no.
Storm Day, Strong Day. Storm Day, Strong Day.
Strong
Yes,
Day.
sports is about winning, but it's a lot more than that. The best, it lifts people up, it brings them together, it helps them be there for each other.
You think Joe wrote that? You see him rocking side to side trying to read? He got them eyes right now like, man, I shouldn't have got all this Botox. My eyes can barely open. Man, it's like slits right there in my face. Can't see much. So there he is, trying to read that and make it sound believable and sincere, telling us what sports is about. But now he's about to hack up the landing.
I was honored to host the 2020 Houston Astros, 2022 Houston Astros here. I was honored to host the 2020 Houston Astros, 2022 Houston Astros here at the White House. And by the way, congratulations.
Oh, there it is. That's the dismount. That's the cover up. Pull the parachute. I'm going to go ahead and deflect. Just like when he runs out of steam on many of his other statements. You know what? These things are, you know what? You know the thing. So he just goes ahead and tries to divert and try to smooth it over when he realizes, Joey, you failed doing your routine. There's no recovering from it. Just go to the dismount right now. Don't try to start over and do the routine again. Just dismount. So now he stinks it up in front of all of these people and just tries to joke it out. And they're all looking in the back like, can't even believe this.
I didn't even say that part yet.
The sort of vitriol that's pouring out, I don't think that's going to wear well over the next several months. So I feel confident that Hillary will be the nominee, and I feel confident she'll be the next president.
No regrets? I know that before you said that you didn't.
Well, now you know. This didn't age well. He thought Hillary was about to be the president. And unfortunately, she dropped the ball. And here he is bragging about that he thought he would have made a good president.
Run, that you knew that it was the right decision for your family.
Look, I had planned on running. It's an awful thing to say. I think I would have been the best president.
Really?
I think I would have been the best president.
Well, let's check
The
that
one
out.
indicator that's not changed is his approval rating, and in fact, his competitive, status against Donald Trump if he's the Republican nominee. Our poll that was Siena College last week found that the president's still at that 39% approval rating. I think the average on 538 is around 41%. That's the lowest of any president at this stage, going back to the history of polling, except for Jimmy Carter.
Whoa, stop the press, you little nerd man. This little nerd man on MSNBC is telling us that the most popular president of all time, the one that surpassed Barack Obama's vote count, 81 million votes, is now one of the most disliked presidents of all time. So how do you fare that? How does one take a dive that quick? How does one go from rock star status that he never had? It was the illusion of rock star status. See, that's what they created during COVID, an illusion. by sticking his raggedy butt in that basement, talking about he can't get out, COVID, he might die and he might kill everybody if he comes out. He's following the things, the restrictions and all of that mess. But they created an illusion that he was very popular. And now all of a sudden the truth is coming out. He was never popular. They should have figured that out. When shortly after he was installed, you start hearing people at football games starting to say, F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden, yeah, F Joe. And then when they tried to cover that up, you know what came out of that? Oh, let's go, Brandon, let's go. Yeah, they should have known when people start doing that almost immediately after he was installed. But no, they tried to make it seem like this dude was legit. And now that truth is setting him free.
That didn't work out well for him.
Ooh. Biden loses ground with working class Black and Latino vote. Hallelujah. 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 See the vibrato? That's what I'm talking about. Black and Latinos. We always got to stick together, y'all. My brother from another mother. Hey, essays. That's right. So he's losing ground with the brothers and the Latinos?
Is because it comes down to the economy.
Oh.
If you look at Joe Biden's approval on the economy right now, it stinks.
You mean Bidenomics? What's this? Donald Trump holds big lead over Joe Biden in the swing state poll show. Now, we can't get overconfident in that. For the simple fact, as we go through the rest of the show tonight, we're going to see just how bad Joe Biden was beaten, but somehow still won. He was getting his butt smashed. No way in the world. That dude really beat Donald Trump. And we're going to find out some new details about that tonight as the show goes on. However, it shows that everybody's a little upset in the swing states and stuff like that. That ain't good for creepy. Interesting.
It's an awful thing to say. I think I would have been the best president.
There is some massive news coming out of Washington, D.C. that has Republicans and former Democrat Senator Kyrsten Sinema absolutely furious. It's just been discovered that President Biden stole over $105 million from the state of Arizona as he colluded with Senate Leader Chuck Schumer and House Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh my. So now he's still stealing? The man's in the White House now and he still got those sticky fingers? So he can't let it go. So I want to hear what he's talking about here, because we know he stole a whole bunch of money, in the past, or I won't say stole. He embezzled or whatever. He laundered, perhaps. We don't know. He just became rich miraculously. But nonetheless, it sounds like he's still up to those dirty deeds. So let's see what's going on out there in Arizona, because it sounds like he done shifted some money around after making promises and breaking them.
Of New York. So here's what's going on.
Tell me.
There was all of this money that was legally appropriated to Texas and to Arizona. Kyrsten Sinema was the Democrat that kept holding out and holding up Biden's inflation bills during COVID.
Oh, that's the one that they sent all of their minions to harass her. Remember that? She's in the bathroom trying to take a twinkle. Excuse me, we're one of the, the dreamers. We want to know why you want that. Looking up under the stall. Won't even let her wash her hands. Then miraculously just showed up on that airplane. They happened to know that she would be on that airplane somehow. And so after all of that, she decided to leave their party. So you're telling me that she held up some type of bill because she wanted money to help build that wall on that border? So let's see what promises were made to her and see if they kept them.
Because she knew that they were spending way too much money and it would affect inflation. They said, quiet down, little girl. You don't know anything. Get in line. Well, she was so mad that she held out until she got this $100 million to secure the border in Arizona.
So I bet you that money is being put to good use, y'all. Thank you, Kristen Killer Woman. So it sounds like we got us a wall being erected, man. I'm glad she held out. I'm glad they went ahead and negotiated, and they're sticking to their word. and they're keeping their promises. Man, I can't wait to see that shiny, spanking, brand new wall.
To strengthen the border.
Good.
Now the top person in New York for the Senate and for the House of Representatives, Schumer and Jeffries, they called Biden, and Biden basically just stole $105 million for fixing the southern border crisis.
Wait a minute. He's an Indian giver? No offense to Indians, but back in the day, that was a whole statement. I still don't know where it came from, but he's an Indian giver. You telling me that man said, "Here, psych on the motorbike"? You mean to tell me he bluffed her so that he can get her to sign or whatever that bill was, and now he took that money back, and instead of building the wall to keep the illegal immigrants out, what did he do with it?
And gave it to New York so that the illegal immigrants there can continue to be put up in posh hotels, given free meals a day, cell phones, food. Now they want them to be able to vote in the upcoming election. I wonder which way they're going to vote, right? So now you have all these conspiracy theories that they're letting 5 to 7 million people in the country every year until Biden gets out, so that they will have all of these Democrat voters going forward.
Hey, wow. Can you believe that? So no wonder Kristen ended up leaving that party. So instead of trying to solve the illegal immigration problem, his bright idea was take the money and send it up there to New York and fund all of those illegal immigrants that's hanging out in hotels and, being a burden and a nuisance to all of those New York voters, which is all their fault, because you would think by now they would get the hint that Mayor Adams, he don't care for them. Same thing with Johnson or whatever his name is in Chicago. I forget his name. It doesn't matter. He don't care for them. Out there in California, any city or state that will flood its citizens with illegal immigrants against a vote, against their will, all of that stuff, they don't care about the people. See, the way you know that is they would never put their own family in danger like that. Nobody leaves the kids around a whole bunch of strangers. Brandon Johnson, that's his name. Nobody would do that. None of them would ever send a whole bunch of legal immigrants into a school building or a neighborhood where their kids went to school. They wouldn't do that. They would be like, whoa, what's going on here, man? Where are all these guys coming from? Because, see, they're not women and children like they all lied to us and said they're mostly women and children, see, and it's for the families. No, when I saw them dudes get off of buses, off of trains, off of planes and all of that stuff, it was almost all males. And yet they send them right in there amongst their citizens like, well, hopefully they're not all criminals or whatever. They'll work it out somehow. What? Don't send them out to my neighborhood. Never know what they might do. See, these folks need to wake up and learn that these Democrats have a bigger agenda than taking care of their own citizens. So now Trump had to come out and make a little campaign ad because we just heard how creepy is.
Joe, how come your Justice Department goes after Trump endlessly, yet they cover for your family?
Good question.
Hunter's laptop? Yeah, that was censored, but we know that laptop's real. And it's not just filled with photos of Hunter's drug-fueled debauchery either. Nah, it showed Hunter pocketed millions from foreign partners, cash from Ukrainian and Chinese interests.
Whoa! You see that picture that just flashed by there? Those are the same people that Joe said, don't know nothing. Never seen or talked to any of my son's business partners. I never even seen them. What? That's me in the picture? I'm photoshopped. That's not really me. It's my ghost. Let's continue.
Accused of bribery and fraud. And remember when you claimed your family never made money from China? Well, Hunter admitted in court he took their cash.
What? Now all his voters should feel hoodwinked, bamboozled. They should feel like all of those black and Latinos and some whites in Chicago, out in Oakland, up there in Washington, D.C., up there in New York. They should feel like them. We voted this person in and they hoodwinked us. What is this? So now everybody who voted for him and he got up there and lied to all of those people. My son's never received money from China. Trump's the one. Yeah, lied. So now if he was willing to lie about all of that, Could it be that he's the baddie? Could it be that he's been projecting all of these lies on Trump and people fell for him? Now, that's the moment of realization. Like, wait a minute. If he lied to me, just like I voted for this dude, he disrespected me. Went straight out there and voted for him thinking Trump was the one stealing money and abusing his position in the White House and getting money from all of these other places. How? Well, I can't really explain it. They just told me it's true. Now it comes out that he was the one lying and getting the money, huh? Interesting.
His Chinese business partner was tied to the Communist Party. How did Hunter's partners get meetings at the White House? Your brother, grandkids, even nieces and nephews got paid from foreign deals.
Look at all them little money launderers up there in the White House. You see them? Before they even know anything about money, they're laundering against their own will. Honestly, I think those kids should be taken away from that family, as bad as it is. They got a track record that's horrible. They got one daughter who's all psychologically messed up because Joe was taking showers with her. They got a crackhead running around those kids. Get that crackhead away from those kids. We don't know what he might drop. Kids look down like that's baking soda. Something like that. We don't know. And then we got Creepy sniffing everybody. I don't trust them. Somebody get those kids right now.
Your family and their cronies raked in over $17 million from these schemes. And you, Joe, went from being one of the poorest in Congress to a millionaire in the White House. Come on, Joe. All this a coincidence or corruption?
Well, according to the media, I mean, there's no connection. There's no tie. I mean, they can't figure it out. Yeah, we haven't really connected the dots. I mean, it's just a lot of accusations and theories and conspiracies and stuff. Joe's squeaky. He's squeaky clean. So instead, let's focus on Trump, right? So let's check this out.
Can my corrupt political opponent, crooked Joe Biden, put me on trial during an election campaign that I'm winning by a lot, but forcing me nevertheless to spend time and money away from the campaign?
Interesting. So, looks like I'm jamming up. Let's see.
Stations and charges. I won't be able to go to Iowa today. I won't be able to go to New Hampshire today because I'm sitting in a courtroom on bull.
Now, Trump got a point. Because, see, when I look at these charges, and I mean bootleg charges, these are really the definition of trumped up charges. So, what they're trying to do is exhaust this man. They're trying to beat him up in every category, emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, all of that. They're trying to give it to him. And most people don't have the resources that Trump has. And people like to tell me that Trump's doing this for his own glory. Are you kidding me? How many folks can withstand the attacks that these people are dropping on him from every angle for 6 years straight, 6 years plus? They haven't given up. They haven't slowed down. They haven't taken a break. They constantly are going right back to that evil basement, plotting about the next scheme. And they're also teaming up with everybody else to do it. It's not just the Democrats. It's the liberal media, as we'll see as we go through the rest of the show. Yeah, it's big tech. All of them have surrounded Trump to jump him. And so they're tapping his pockets while he's out there trying to campaign. They're strategically setting up all these little indictments and trials and stuff and all of that. So it will be a constant distraction, and it will keep this all going in the memory or in the psyche of the bubbleheads that don't realize this is all a strategy, because they don't understand that these indictments are bogus. So let's see what they have to say about this, because I agree with Trump. I agree with him on this.
There was President Trump in New Hampshire yesterday accusing President Biden of weaponizing the Department of Justice during an election period. The former president now accusing the January 6th committee of illegally destroying records and documents, calling for the indictment to be immediately withdrawn.
Yeah.
All right, President Biden saying...
So wait, destroying documents. So Jack Smith is the jack in the box. They didn't let that jack out the box. And he's a raggedy prosecutor? Stinking it up, leaving out information, getting in trouble with the judge, all of that. We're going to find out more about him as we go through the show as well. So now let's see what Creepy is up to, because I'm sure as he's, having the DOJ and all of them go after Trump, he's answering questions to calm down all of his voters and the rest of us concerning all of this overwhelming evidence about what he's up to and his crackhead.
Down for a rare interview with the Weather Channel. He has not answered any questions about the Biden family influence peddling scheme since Devin Archer's testimony last week.
He sat down with who? the Weather Channel, if I was the Weather Channel guy, I'd blow it all up. I'd be like, thank you, Mr. Biden, for sitting down with me to talk about climate change, which is a existential threat. However, it's not a bigger existential threat than that diary that your daughter had talking about you taking showers with her. Could you please explain that since we're talking about the weather? Tell us about those showers that took place in your house with your daughter. What? Oh, no, you don't know about those showers? Those showers were created by you. Yes, you were responsible for that weather inside of your house there. So could you please expound upon that? What? I thought it was on the Weather Channel. They're not supposed to ask me tough stuff. So he went to the Weather Channel? Unbelievable.
And all of these bank records have been exposed. Instead, he's going on the Weather Channel to talk about climate change. Meanwhile, a new poll shows Trump is gaining support, leading Florida Governor Ron DeSantis by more than 40 points right now.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about all of these charges against President
They're
Biden
bootleg.
and his family
They're
right now
bootleg.
in the midst of all of these other charges against Trump?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's been developing over the last week is that this last indictment is so thin and is so poorly put together that, the murmurs are that Jack Smith and his office, and I don't think a lot of us really knew what his track record was before this.
So he's a jackleg prosecutor. That name is fitting. So let me see. We got conspiracy to defraud the U.S., conspiracy to obstruct official proceedings, obstruction of official proceedings, conspiracy against rights. I don't know what all that is. He just woke up. All right, conspiracy against the humanity. He's offended the universe. Conspiracy to offend the gods and all of that stuff. Just throwing anything in there. So he's a jackleg, bootleg prosecutor who is really not a good prosecutor. He's not trying to find justice and all that stuff. They brought him in because they know he's corrupt enough to prostitute and embarrass himself with these stupid charges.
That there's almost a level of incompetence that many members, I think, as well as staff, are saying, if you're going to indict the president of the United States, you think you would have everything tied down and locked down, and it doesn't appear to have happened in this indictment.
Well, that's because all of these charges and investigations and indictments, they're all concoctioned. They're all fake. They don't have enough real evidence, so they got to create evidence, and it makes it look like they're disorganized, they're not thorough. Well, because there's a whole bunch of holes in the evidence because they concoction the evidence. They created it in a lab somewhere. It's not real. So, of course, it's going to seem bootleg. You done made this mess up. Now you got to try to make it make sense. See, it's no different than all of the racism that's running around. All of this racism and systemic racism and white nationalism, not enough of it going around. So you got to make it up. And there's always holes in those stories. What? Jesse Smollett was attacked by MAGA folks in Chicago in the middle of a winter vortex. What? He didn't? Oh, they was two big black Nigerian guys? Huh. I fell for that one. Wow. I won't do that again. What? Nick Sandman was looking that engine in the eye while he was just beating this drum. Speaking peace into the atmosphere. That little white national, what? Oh, the engine came up to him? Oh, man, I fell for it again. See, so when you don't have enough real systemic racism, white nationalism and stuff, you make it up. And then soon after, you find the holes. It doesn't make sense. Same thing with this guy.
Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, meanwhile, says that House Republicans have now received bank records showing that Biden's been paid a total of $20 million from foreign countries that they can identify. Nancy Mace said it was upwards of $50 million, by the way. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, however, told House Republicans to pump the brakes when it comes to impeaching President.
You see that turtle? You see this guy right there with that turkey neck? That guy right there. So you telling me Mitch that need to have retired about 18 years ago? For some mysterious reason, y'all, he says, don't do it, y'all. Don't impeach. Don't impeach him. Wow, that's incredible that man would say that. I mean, it seems that Mitch is pretty much got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on earth. You would think he would want to go out with somewhat of his legacy intact. But I guess he's trying to go out like a full-blown sucker. You know, oftentimes when you're about to die, you don't care. You know, you're sitting back like, I mean, who's going to prosecute me? I'm about to kick the bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and go out with my dignity. But he's still trying to prostitute himself on the way out. So let me understand this. Mysteriously, Trump gets impeached for some bullcrap about J6. Mitch throws Trump under the bus. Then when Trump decides to run again, Mitch pretty much tries to sabotage all of the candidates that Trump, had nominated or supported. Then it looks like Mitch did something else. What did he do? So wait, he did that. It was something else just on my mind that made me look at this guy like a full-blown bum. All right, it'll come to me. But let's hear her response to this.
President Biden saying that impeachment ought to be rare and it is not good for the country. What do you make of that?
Boom. I knew it would come to my big fat brain. Then, mysteriously, Mitch McConnell did not want that video footage of J6 shown on Tucker. Now, why is he coming out, one, on board or softly defending some of these obvious Democrat attacks on Trump? Two, why did he try to stop Trump's, real MAGA first candidates from being elected? And three, why didn't he want all that footage shown? That's what I want to know. What's it to you, Mitch? I mean, maybe that footage might have revealed some things that would blow up that J6 narrative that you wanted to stick to Trump. Maybe you even knew about it, Mitch. Who knows? Maybe Nasty Pelosi had a conversation with you. And now here he is coming out talking about don't impeach the nerve of this dude. They impeached Trump twice. And he got the nerve to come out and try to play, we want to be above that. We're going to go and take the high road. No, already know, Mitch, you're on the low road. It's obvious.
Well, I don't think it's great for the country, of course, and there's a lot of other things we should be working on. But we have a responsibility per the Constitution of oversight. And along with that, the committee structure of not only oversight, but judiciary and certainly Ways and Means. We have a duty to do this. So, I understand what the leader's saying, but the problem, I think, is that, we don't do the impeachment inquiry, which simply puts the resources in place and the ability to do an impeachment in place, then we're shirking our responsibility. So I guess I would disagree with the leader on that front.
And how? Because, see, maybe Mitch hasn't looked at the evidence. Now, I've seen in the past Mitch get up there on the Capitol and he'll make a speech and he sounded like he, had some noodles and he would make some arguments and disagree with some things and sound like he was a rational, logical thinking person. So for him to go completely off script and respond as if he is completely oblivious to all of the obvious evidence pointing towards Creepy Sleepy being corrupt lets me know Mitch is defending Creepy Sleepy. He don't want Creepy to get exposed because who knows? Maybe in that impeachment, he might get exposed. Maybe somebody might grab him by that turkey neck and start yanking on him a little bit. Maybe his legacy might go out as a corrupt politician as well. See, so it's odd to me that he's now, for some reason, saying impeachment's off the table, as if we have no legitimate reason to even consider impeaching Creepy Sleepy. All of that evidence. So let's leave that bum in office to continue destroying the country, to continue being corrupt, no telling what damage he's doing. That's what Mitch is saying? Unbelievable. But he didn't say nothing about these stupid, baseless impeachments that were brought up by the Democrats. Now, you want to talk about a fake impeachment to divide the country? Theirs were. No evidence, no reason, none of that. We don't like the guy. He's a danger to our power and all of that stuff. We're going to impeach him and make it up. If we impeach this guy, do you understand? It's hard not to accept all of the evidence that we have. And Mitch McConnell's talking about we shouldn't do it.
Well, I guess you could say that bribery and money laundering is not good for the country either.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, House Republicans are ramping up their investigation. Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer revealing his plans to release more Biden family bank records this week.
Maybe Mitch needs to look at those. Oh, yeah, I can't support impeachment. Yeah, maybe the turkey neck right there needs to look at those bank records.
Jonathan, your reaction?
Well, it's interesting. If I were in Biden's position, I'd certainly want to focus on the weather than the turbulent and political winds that are coming his way. I think in his position, you're looking at a situation where you're trying to distract the American people with the spectacle of all these trials and criminal charges against Trump. And meanwhile, the evidence is clear. They have enough, Maria, to actually impeach him right now. I was actually just talking to one of my partners right now.
Yes, that's right, bro. That's what I'm, dap me up, bro. Come here. I feel you, bro. You need to call up Turkey Neck and tell him that we got enough evidence right now to impeach this dude. Told y'all, I don't have a law degree, but I'm like, everybody relax. I'll field this. I'll handle the impeachment. But Kev, you're not a lawyer. Don't need to be. My man with common sense been following the news. That man sitting over there, creepy, sleepy, is guilty. Let's continue listening to the brother.
Right now to impeach President Biden. However, you want to build a case, that's strategy. But right now, legally speaking, they have enough evidence to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence that they've spoken about, Adam, include bank records. The bank records have indicated at least 20 shell companies.
Right.
That money has gone into the shell companies and then come out of the shell companies, gone into Biden family accounts. They also have whistleblower testimony indicating that the...
Oh, Turkey Neck. Are you watching this? We got bank records. We got whistleblowers. Oh, I haven't been seeing. I haven't fallen.
The DOJ may be covering this up. And Mitch McConnell, Brenda, told House colleagues that it would be bad for the country to have an impeachment trial.
No, I think it'd be bad for the Democrats and it'd be bad for perhaps you, Mitch. Because what skin in the game do you have? Why would you care about an impeachment trial? You're about to retire. So I don't understand what the problem is. What team are you playing for, Mitch? Therefore, I'm going to have to throw you a boo party.
McConnell warns House GOP on Biden impeachment. Not good for the for it's interesting to hear Mitch McConnell say it's not good for the country. So is it good for the country to have potential bribery?
No.
Potential money laundering?
Mitch McConnell has to step up and do something. I'm telling you, Lindsay, they have something on Mitch McConnell. There's no way that he's doing this. They've got something on Mitch McConnell.
And how? Trump be dead on. Because that's exactly what I was thinking. When I see people like Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, all of that, it seems that they don't want to drain the swamp. It seems that perhaps maybe they got a little swampiness on them somehow that makes them say, don't worry, guys, I know we're pretending to like Trump, but we got your back. We're going to only let him go so far. All right. Now, we're going to pretend like we're going to go ahead and stop this election. But once the insurrection starts, then we're going to resume and come back and say, this right here then changed my whole mind, made me wake up, see that Trump is the real culprit in all of this mess. But we got to find out who the real culprit is. So, Trump, I think you're right about Turkey Neck.
It's a terrible thing that's happening with that guy and with the whole. They got to step up.
Bipartisan cooperation and a string of.
Now you hear that Turkey Neck, turtleneck dude right there. He's barely even talking. Is his mouth even moving? What's wrong with this guy? Hello. Turkey Neck. Give me something. Give me a gobble. Give me something, man. This dude better take that turtleneck and go back in the shell somewhere. So you see, this guy right here, all of that evil, that's what it'll do to you. He went blank because of all of that evil. So now we got to see how the people in Kentucky appreciate Mitch McConnell and all of his latest shenanigans, y'all. I think it's time to throw us a boo party. Retire. Sopranos. Altos. Retire. Yeah. Retire. Yes, I'm loving it. Don't let the turtle speak. Don't let that turkey gobble one bit. They are booing the heck out of him, y'all. I'm mad that I didn't get invited to the boo party. I'm mad. You can't even hear the turkey neck gobble. That's how loud it is. But he's up there still reading his lines. As if he don't realize that that whole crowd wants him gone. It's crazy to me. How would you ever keep like a serious face when you realize the whole crowd hates you? Not just a few boos. The whole entire crowd hates you. And you try to keep a straight face like they love me. I'm just going to read over all these boos. Oh, get funky with it. Tiger. Boo! Yeah. Boo! Man, if they would have invited me to that boo party, I'd have came prepared with all kind of tomatoes. Oh, that's the passing them out in the car. All right, here comes the tomatoes. Okay, everybody got their tomatoes? All right, I hear turkeys love those. All right, so get ready. All right, as soon as he steps up. Boo! It ain't even loud enough. As loud as that is, ain't loud enough. That man needs to go somewhere and sit down. Look at him still reading, y'all. Boy, I tell you, I loved it. Loved it, man. I love boo parties. I love boo parties. Not poo parties. Boo parties for these raggedy behind politicians. That Nat's going to get it. Okay, but wait a minute. There's another guy who deserves a boo party, which he did get. Y'all remember that other traitor, Mike Pence, who was walking around talking about there's no way that what Trump was asking him to do could have stopped the election, could have, put it on postpone and maybe, yeah, remember that? That other rhino in disguise right there? Okay, so let's see how stupid he is when he accidentally admits it trying to trash Trump.
Sit, watch. The president specifically asked me, and his gaggle of crackpot lawyers asked me to literally reject votes, which would have resulted
in what?
In the issue being turned over to the House of Representatives.
What? I thought that couldn't happen. I thought Trump was asking you to do something that was impossible. Huh? Isn't that odd that this bum, in the midst of him trying to talk about Trump and the crackpot, lawyers and stuff, wanted me to. So you're telling me there was a chance? That's what you're doing? Just a little bit ago, you was out there on the campaign trail boasting about that was impossible. He wanted me to forsake the Constitution, and I chose the Constitution over. And yet now he just admitted that he could have done it.
And literally chaos would have ensued.
So that's what you were worried about? You wasn't worried about whether you could do it or not. You was just worried about the chaos that would take place afterwards. That's what you're telling me? Huh? See, so now the truth comes out. Now I'm hoping as we go into trial, I hope Trump and his lawyers capture all of this footage. I hope they capture what that man just said. Because remember, according to Jack in the Box, Trump knew that he lost. He tried to bully Mike Pence into breaking the law or violating the Constitution or something. And Mike Pence said, hey, man, there's no way in the world that this would ever work. It's illegal. It violates the Constitution. Now, all of a sudden, it could have been done. Thank you. Thank you, Mike Pence, for a confession that is on the record.
An Alabama fundraiser this week, Donald Trump said he needs one more indictment to close out this election. Okay.
It's so true. One more indictment. That'll do it. That'll do it. Everybody else should just go home. One more indictment. And it's amazing to me that the Democrats, they seem to not know that. I don't know what their end game is, but hopefully, maybe they're thinking that, you know what, the more we pile on, the more people are just going to be like, I guess I should believe it now. After the third one, I was like, I don't know. But then that fourth one came and that sealed the deal. Trump's evil. I'm wondering if that's what they're thinking. They already got the people with Trump derangement syndrome locked up. Okay. I don't see who they're going for with this, man. So another indictment, perhaps. And you're right about this. Let's see what happens to the hawk when you make him mad and keep attacking him.
It was kind of a joke, but he made a good point. As the indictments spill out, his support has grown. He's crushing his GOP rivals, and in that now famous New York Times Siena poll, he's tied with Biden head-to-head, 43-43.
Now, I don't believe that. Just like I don't believe Biden had 81 million votes. But we'll go ahead and let them have their fun with that.
All of this is happening just as the indictments hit. I think there's a strong belief that Trump is not being treated fairly and has not been treated fairly in the past. Russia, impeachment over a phone call. Those are examples of vicious politics based on pure Trump hatred. And he continues. New York's radical DA, Alvin Bragg, indicted him on the flimsiest of grounds. He bent the law every which way to bring charges.
Every which way. And that's why all of their charges seem raggedy. All of them have big potholes all over the place. You can't drive down one of their indictment streets without, oh man, dang, oh, another pot. You got to dodge all of that mess to try to get through it. So I forgot about Fat Albert. Hey, it's Fat Albert. Hey, Rudy. So now, Fat Albert came with some garbage. Okay, who else? I forgot.
Only the Trump haters thought that was fair.
Y'all hear what he said? Only the Trump haters thought that was fair. So you see, we're not being tricked by this mess. Even if you aren't a Trump supporter, but you're not a Trump hater. If you got a clear enough head to look at what's going on, there's no way you can conclude, yeah, I mean, he brought all this on himself. It looks like he's guilty of all of this stuff. You have to be such a casual viewer of politics that you just walk past TV screens and just see Trump indicted on conspiracy charges. Oh, that's it. Okay, let me keep it moving. Maybe you don't sit and think, what does conspiracy mean? What would that look like? What is a conspiracy charge? What is the definition of it? See, so only a Trump hater will look at all these indictments and say, serves them right.
On the day after President Biden was caught in a lie, the day after, caught in a lie about Hunter's business dealings, Jack Smith laid criminal charges on him about the 2020 election.
Now, I'm sure that wasn't timed up. I'm sure. There's nothing suspicious about that. It wasn't coordinated. It was just quinky dink.
The timing is suspect. As Trump's lawyer said, this reeks of election interference. There's the silencing of the IRS agents pursuing Biden's corrupt family financing. How convenient. The Department of Justice roadblocking investigations that get close to Biden. There's a pattern here. Use the machinery of government, use the courts, use anything you've got to beat the Trump challenge. Of course,
fire everything. That's what they've been doing. And then they wonder why we continue to support Trump. They wonder why, for whatever reason, we're still saying, you know what, Trump's my guy. Because nobody, all right, deserves all of that. That man is getting attacked by everybody. And when I look at the people, the characters that are attacking him, they're all garbage. I don't see how common folks fall for this garbage. Regular, hardworking citizens, they don't realize that it is nothing more than rich, privileged, well-off Democrats who's attacking him, powerful people in the media, powerful people in the government, powerful people around the world, and they're falling for all of this mess. Those people want him gone. They tricked a lot of people in our country to think they want him gone too, because for some reason he's not supporting and fighting for everybody. He's a white nationalist. He's only trying to get his buddies rich. They don't even realize the people who's pushing that narrative are the ones that want to keep their buddies rich, keep their friends in power, keep themselves in power, make sure they pay off all of the favors for those globalists that donate money so that they can have a say in our politics and in our culture. All of those people. And the way they keep our peanuts in line is to convince them that they came up with their own ideas about Trump. They formulated their own opinion about how corrupt and evil Trump is. And it just hit me like eureka. For a minute, I was loving the man. Busting rhymes about him. For a second, I watched The Apprentice religiously. Watched it religiously. But then one day I just woke up and said, wow, you know what? Something about Trump strikes me wrong. I think he's a white nationalist, racist, xenophobe, homophobe. Just like that. You can't pinpoint the exact moment you came to that revelation, huh? You don't realize what influenced you to think that way and who influenced you and what could be their motive. You think their motive is to protect you as a citizen from evil Donald Trump? Or could it be to protect them from Donald Trump threatening their power and their security? Which we're going to find out more about that as the show goes on.
It only works if it's seen to be fair and legit. It is not seen as fair and legit by a growing number of people, and that is a real threat to our constitutional republic.
True. And that is exactly why his popularity is growing. Because rational common sense people say, why is the powerful going after this man? And trying to get me to jump on board with it for some reason. As this man is talking about supporting the people who don't have the power, or should I say the people who should have the power, which is us. But yet you got elitist Democrats who've been doing all kinds, some Republicans, doing everything without consulting the people who should have the power. You think they consulted with the people in New York before they shoved all those illegal immigrants in there? Huh? You think they talked it over with their constituents? You think they discussed it with the people before they said, let's start sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine and weapons and all of that stuff? You think they even care about what the people think? No, they don't care about that mess. They've been operating like this for decades, if not longer. And they're comfortable with this. All they got to do is create the perception that they're helping the people, and the people got to say in their democracy, and the people actually are making a difference, and they're working on behalf of the people. So they feed them a whole bunch of bullcrap every 2 or 4 years and go right back to business as usual and set up there and say, you know what, they won't even catch it. That we're doing things right up under their nose without even consulting them. They think they got the power. That's what it is. But dang on it, I don't want to think I have it. I want to have it. I got the power. That's what I want. Dang on it, as a citizen. Speaking of them, look who it is, y'all. Oh.
Courtroom. When I wasn't in the courtroom, of course, but when I saw his coming out of his car and this or that, I saw a scared puppy.
Oh, did you hear that? We're talking about nasty Pelosi. That's right. Monkey paw hands, mushroom mouth, bag of bones, nasty. Now let's see what she had to say about Donald Trump. Okay, let's go back a little bit, but first, before I do that, you know what time it is. Oh, yes. That's good. That's good, nasty. So, now, what did I say about that evil Donald Trump?
Trump is not being treated fairly and has not been treated fairly in the past. Russia. Impeachment.
Yes. Let's see. Here we go.
Politics.
Let's get to nasty.
Election.
Hurry up. Let's get to nasty. Dang on it. Here we go. Now, what did I say about him?
Our constitutional republic.
Courtroom. When I wasn't in the courtroom, of course,
yes.
But when I saw his coming out of it.
I'm sorry, I have a little in my voice, and that's because of all the black velvet that I drink. When you drink moonshine, it has a tendency to mess with your esophagus. Now, back to that evil white nationalist Donald Trump. Yes, he's a, what? What did I say? He's a moon pie? No, not a moon pie. What's my lines again? Oh, a scared puppy. That's what it is.
So let's hear Nasty talk about a scared puppy. Donald Trump was a scared puppy when he came out of the courtroom.
Of his car and this or that, I saw a scared puppy.
A scared puppy.
Whoa. Looks like he's shaking in his bones. Wow. It's all a facade. He's really scared deep down on the inside. I'm pretty sure, I think. Well, I don't know. I'm no psychologist or nothing, but that doesn't resemble the behavior of the... Oh, wait a minute. I got distracted. My favorite song. Woo! I love that song.
Nancy, that's President Trump just hours after being arrested by Biden's corrupt DOJ, surprising a wedding party at Bedminster. Does he look scared? I purposely didn't comment on Nancy Pelosi's very weird story concerning her husband.
Now Nasty done released the Kraken. Now see, he would have left Nasty alone. Nasty come picking a fight. See, that's the problem. They went in there and poked the bear. Now he have to go straight up ramble. They drew first blood. They drew first blood. So Nasty comes out and calls him a scared puppy. So now he got to hit her below the belt. Okay. And go right into Paul. Creepy, disgusting Paul. That guy.
But now I can because she said something about me with glee. That was really quite vicious.
Yeah.
I saw a scared puppy, she said.
That's what
she watched me on television like millions of others.
Right.
Who of course didn't see that. I wasn't, quote, scared.
He wasn't?
Nevertheless, how mean a thing to say. She, Nancy Pelosi, is a wicked witch whose husband's journey from hell starts and finishes with her.
Oh my goodness, Trump. See, that's what happened. Yeah, you don't think that the person you go picking a fight with is going to sock you in the nose. Even worse than your little love tap. So he went right below the belt. Like your husband is miserable. No wonder he frolics around with guys, sneaking around in cars, getting into wrecks, talking about I'm a little tipsy. My wife is nasty. You think you can let this one go? Huh? No wonder you open up the door and he's standing there holding a hammer talking about, hey guys. No wonder. Who would want to touch the wicked witch? That man's been subjected to that witch for decades now. So no wonder he's sneaking around doing all kind of shenanigans. He's trapped in hell.
She's a sick and demented psycho who will someday live in hell.
Oh, Trump. Jeez, oh man. Trump just dropped a hammer on Nasty. He broke all those bones in those monkey hands. Knocked out all of those mush-mouth teeth of hers right there. Since she want to play games. Now, we're about to find out that she's also more involved in this mess than she let on. So she should have just shut her mouth. Okay, but you got to understand, they're going after Trump. If they do it, they forget that that pendulum swings both ways. Nobody was subpoenaing Nancy Pelosi and asking her about her role in J6. She might have wanted to shut her nasty mush mouth. Wait a minute, another bag of bones, Marxist? They brought in somebody else, a Nancy Pelosi stunt double. Listen to this mush mouth.
It's the grace of the individual to accept that defeat, to put the country first, but also they have their parties with them. Other leaders, whether it's Democrat or Republican alike, saying, look, it is time. The election's over. It's time to move on. We all have gone through the example about Nixon and Watergate, but it also means sometimes it's presidential elections. At the end of these bitterly contested fights, still even the party said, okay, it's time to turn the page.
Now, why, first of all, has MSNBC invited Madam on their show? Y'all remember that puppet Madam? That's what she looks like. She looks like Madam. Now, you know what he's doing. Now, the next part of their strategy is to say, okay, Trump is gaining more popularity. This is backfiring, and we can't stop this momentum. We're thinking that us throwing all of these accusations, all of these demonizations on Trump would make him lose support, but he's getting bigger. He's getting stronger and more popular. So now what we got to do is figure out how to stop the momentum. Figure out how to make these people turn on Trump. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend we're asking a question and we're serious about it. But really what they're doing is trying to drop the message out there that if you guys keep supporting Trump, we don't understand. Something got to be going on up here with you guys. I mean, who in the world will continue supporting this man after we done demonized him? We done tried to impeach him 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We done indicted him a zillion times. We done set him up. We done tried to frame him. We done did all of this. Who would still support this guy? I mean, we can't understand. Why isn't our voodoo working? So now he's pretending that he's just asking a simple question. But really what he's trying to do is make people start saying, yeah, it's about time to go ahead and break off. But notice what he starts off with, a full-blown lie. A full-blown lie by talking about the Democrats were ready to move on right after the election. Why aren't all these Republicans willing to do that? Why aren't all these? He's lying. These folks right after that election where they installed Joe Biden went straight after Trump. They tried to get him with the J6 thing. They bust open the J6 hearing. They did all of that mess. They didn't waste no time continuing their witch hunt after Trump. And he's talking about the Democrats are willing to move on. How? They figured Trump might run again, and they start preparing immediately right after that to stop that. And he's talking about that Democrats tried to move on.
Even in 2016, by that next morning, the Democrats were doing so. But are you seeing...
What? Boy, MSNBC is obvious prostitutes. He said even in 2016, the Democrats were ready to move on right after the inauguration. Are you kidding me? These dudes went right into full-blown wah. Baby on the bus. Every time they got a mic. Trump did this, Trump did that. Now he's a Russian agent. Trump, he stole money. Trump eats too much ice cream. They never moved on. He's illegitimate. He knows he's not a real president. And he said, well, yeah, the Democrats are ready to move on after 2016. Are you kidding me? They unleashed mobs on our cities after that. But the Democrats will really move on.
Seeing anything here that would suggest that there are other Republicans, real ones that matter,
Real
not
ones
just
that
the
matter.
occasional local.
Y'all hear that? Real ones that matter. Meaning anybody except rhinos. Yeah, he wants those rhinos to be the ones like turkey neck Mitch McConnell. He's a real one, ready to move on. Our impeachment's bad for the country. He don't want no Marjorie Taylor Greens out there. Yeah, he don't want them type of people. He want to try to separate the complicit uniparty rhinos from the radical MAGA first Republicans that recognize how corrupt these people are and willing to punish them for it. So what he's doing, he's trying to delegitimize all of those other ones like Marge and, dang on Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and people like that. Delegitimize them by separating into real Republicans.
Lonely voice. If they're going to push the party and Donald Trump to move past this in the next election.
Yeah. So he don't want no more trouble. See, he wants all of these Republicans to start saying, let's go ahead and abandon Trump, man. Let's just look forward to the next person. Yeah, we can't be out there supporting Trump after all of this obvious attacks on him, this abuse of power that they've done, and not only on Trump, but on the people. He wants them to just look past all of that and move on. It's time to move on. No. When the midterms ended and I started seeing Republicans start to say it's time to really move forward, I was like, Rhino, you're exposing yourself. You're exposed. Soon as that ended, and I start hearing them come out there and talk about, at this point, the party needs to move. I was like, Rhino, immediately. So, no, we're not moving on. I'll be dang if we move on. I want to see something happen. Because if we move on, we're done. If we start talking about something, you know what? Let's go ahead and bring in somebody who's more what? Complicit, less combative, less MAGA first, a globalist, somebody who acts as if, I'm a conservative, but really we're playing both sides. No, we don't want that. We already know what's in store for us if we sit back and get lulled into that bull crap. It's time to move on.
Yeah, it's still so hard to accept that. I mean, I thought after January 6th, when you saw McConnell speak, when you saw McCarthy speak, that was going to be the beginning of the leadership turning.
And it didn't work. You see that? There's we can't understand. We can't understand. We thought our concoction J6 narrative would have made the people forsake him. Boy, this is crazy after hearing some of those rhinos get out there. Now, McCarthy did come out and throw him under the bus. But right now, so far, McCarthy seems to be doing somewhat okay. But I still got one eye open on him. But now we kind of probably know why Mad Mitch with that turkey neck said what he said. So here she is talking about, we thought that Mitch could swim. We thought that McCarthy could swim, but it didn't work.
Against him, and then somehow it's not happened, and it can't just be a few of them, and we got to figure out, when is that going to happen? When is it going to break? And maybe the more this thing becomes clear what was done.
What was done? What was done? See, because with this puppet, madam here, don't realize it is clear what was done. That's why nobody's walking away from Trump, and he's getting more popular. Which she fails to realize, this propagandist Marxist right here, this up there talking about maybe after people realize what was done. We already know what's done. That's why we're mad about it. We saw the footage. We saw all the attacks. We see the false charges, the false indictments, the impeachments and stuff. We already know what was done. That's why we're not walking away. And you don't even realize that. Puppet, madam. She up there talking about after they saw what was done. Only idiots didn't see the truth.
You've got to believe that rational thought will come back in the minds of some of these people. But
so, translation, if you guys still support Trump and didn't believe all our false narratives and lies and propaganda, then you're not a rational person. You should feel ashamed of yourself. Actually, it's the opposite. Because we're rational people, because we're common sense people, we can see through this puppet's bullcrap. We are the rational people. That is why they have to spend so much effort and time trying to silence us, trying to suppress our speech, trying to remove our channels, all of that crap, trying to demonize us, trying to prosecute us. They have to do that because we're rational, common sense people who don't fall for the propaganda. So now they send out Madam. I know Madam when I see her. I recognize her with that big nose.
But if not, then it's going to take the overwhelming organization, just as you were talking about earlier, organizing the country at all the levels so that he cannot win that election.
Oh, organizing the country at all the levels so he cannot win that election. So now Marxism just leaked all out of Madam here. There you have it. She's like, yo, whatever we got to do so this dude don't win the election. She didn't talk about, you know what, just show the people that we have the better candidate. Yeah, present policies that the people would support. No, she's like, we got to organize the whole country so he don't win that election. Basically, by any means necessary. And that's exactly what they're doing. Now, I get it. These folks right now, they're back up against the wall. And they are like, you know what? No time to even try to make it seem like this is fair. Seem like this is a legitimate investigation. We're beyond that. This is DEFCON 5. Trump's building the momentum, and we already know what's coming if he wins. So they're probably willing to do pretty much anything, especially when they send out this puppet madam.
If the party will not depart from him, then he has to be defeated, and the party has to be defeated.
With virtually every poll.
The party has to be defeated. How are you going to defeat the party? So they would love to criminalize the Democrat Party, especially like maybe half of them. I mean, the Republican Party, rather, especially some of your more supportive of Trump Republicans. That's why they start saying that you guys are complicit with his crime. We want to lump all of y'all into this insurrection thing. You know, were you guys conspirators with him? That's what I want to know. Yeah. So let's hear what Trump got to say about it.
We're kicking Biden's ass.
Oh.
And that's the problem. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
And if I wasn't, we wouldn't be under investigation by deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged human being. You take a look at that face, you say, that guy is a sick man. There's something wrong.
And you know what, Trump? Honestly, as you mentioned that, it makes sense. So you always go after the real threat. See, so when all the attention surrounds Trump, that lets me know he's the guy. Nobody's putting this type of effort into anybody else to stop him. They're going after Trump. So he's the guy. That lets me know. Because if Trump was not the guy, you think they'd spend all this money and time and effort? I mean, they're willing to embarrass themselves and expose how corrupt and evil they are to stop him. That must mean they're out of options. They're like, we used to could do this stuff and still remain quiet in the cracks and stuff like that. But now we're out in the open. We done exposed the fact that the deep state is real, and we probably been doing this crap for decades. But the people was under a delusion that they had a say in their democracy. And Trump is about to bring it back. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate that. But now we're about to expose some things too. So the first narrative, J6, destroyed. Now remember, guys, they trying to go to trial. All right, they trying to go to trial. And one of the trials is to say that Trump inspired an insurrection. That's right, y'all. So let's see if we could destroy that before we even make it to trial. Here we go.
Former Capitol Police Chief says that there was a cover-up on January 6th. And as we've talked about here before, he's talked about all of the problems in his book, about how he requested support and resources, about how there was all sorts of intelligence, miscommunications. People weren't being provided with the details about what exactly was happening.
Well, wait a minute. Why am I just hearing about this dude? You telling me the Capitol Police Chief done said all of this? Why wasn't this all over the place? Because see, remember, guys, this right here was an insurrection. They overran the police. You would think they'd want the Capitol Police Chief to testify about this. And I'm just hearing about this? Why not? Let's see.
He spoke with Tucker. Fox News never aired this because it's too...
That's why we didn't hear about it. Now, raggedy behind Fox News, which... thank God they got a couple people I still listen to. But raggedy behind Fox News didn't want us to hear from one of the main people that could give us some more insight about January 6th, y'all. I wonder why that J6 committee didn't say, you know what, instead of bringing up big guy from Green Mile, I was scared for my life. I'll go down to Florida and get me a circus mouse. Instead of bringing him, why did they bring the Capitol Chief Police officer right there? Why didn't they bring him up there? Instead of bringing Eric Estrada
I had a cut on my hand. I went home to my wife. I was crying. I was so scared. I thought I was going to die.
Instead of bringing this bootleg group of police officers up there, why didn't they bring the Capitol Police Chief?
Too damaging to their narrative,
Oh,
but
that's
it's leaked.
We're very restrained and rational and not give an overstatement, obviously, but the facts that you're describing are shocking.
Reason why the audio is a little bad on this. It's not on our end or your end. It's on the file.
I've had a lot of people ask me, why did you write this book? I try to do what I can to get the truth out.
Yes.
They didn't want me.
Wait a minute. You telling me this guy from J6 wrote a book? Why aren't they inviting him on CNN to promote his book and talk about how white nationalistic and scared he was and how dangerous this was and it was an attack on our democracy and it's the greatest threat since 9/11? Why aren't they bringing him on a tour on CNN, MSNBC, and all of that to promote his book? Because he's really telling the real truth about J6.
Want me to testify in February 23rd at the Senate hearing. They don't want people to steal criminally in positions.
Now, I know this is a little choppy, but what I think he just said is they did not want him to testify during the J6 hearings that were put together by those bootleg rhinos and Democrats, especially Nancy Pelosi. Now, why? Why? He's sitting over there going, ooh. Isn't that odd? This is just like Tony Bobolinsky, who had all that information on Creepy Sleepy and his finances and his business meetings, and and Tony Bobolinsky's going, oh, I got something to say. I can give you all the information you need about this. And they're going, I didn't see nothing. What? Who is this guy again? No, we're not bringing him on the show. Wonder why.
I actually had to go and talk to a friend of mine on one of the oversight committees, say, I will come there in person. I want to be there. I want to testify.
He wanted to
so
testify.
I think I'm reserved. To be honest with you, I'm a little pissed off.
Right on.
If people were reporting intelligence correctly, if I was allowed to do my job as the chief, I got a significant experience. If I was allowed to do my job as the chief, we wouldn't be here today.
Yep.
Well, sorry, buddy. You might have significant experience, but not more than
Nancy Pelosi, who was responsible for security. She made a judgment call. No, I don't want those people showing up stopping this insurrection that we planned. We don't want National Guard coming.
So, isn't that funny? It's funny. He said, if I would have been able to do my job. So then what prevented him from doing it?
This didn't happen. Then see how you're lambasted in public. And it's all, everything appears to be a cover-up. Like I said, I'm not...
Appears to be a cover-up.
But when you look at the information intelligence that it had, military had, it's all watered down. I'm not getting intelligence. I support National Guard in advance.
And somebody just mentioned Mitch McConnell was also responsible. No wonder Turkey Neck's talking about, impeachment would be bad for the country. No wonder Mitch McConnell didn't want all of that J6 footage to be released for some reason to Fox. Isn't that strange? So, subpoenas for both of them. That's what I say. You want to play rough? Okay. Throw out subpoenas during this bootleg trial that they're trying to put together and bring them all in there. And bring this man in there to blow up that narrative. See, maybe Jack in the Box didn't account for one of the key players right here exposing the J6 was bootleg. He said he thinks it was a cover-up, y'all.
I'm denied National Guard while we're under attack.
Denied
for
National
71
Guard.
minutes.
Why? 71 minutes? Wow, how is Jack Smith going to explain that? So denied National Guard for 71 minutes. What was Nancy Pelosi doing during that time?
You're in a fight?
Yeah.
A fight for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, 1
wears
minute.
you out.
1 minute.
I was going to say, 60 seconds, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Let me tell you, it wears you out. My officers were fighting for 80 minutes.
80 minutes?
The protesters.
Wait, can I say, so you described this as a failure to get the intelligence to the people who needed it, but it sounds like worse than it sounds like they were hiding the intelligence.
And that's what I'm getting at is could there possibly be that actually did something to happen and kind of wanted something to happen?
Yeah, they did.
It's not a far stretch to be.
Could it be that they actually wanted something to happen? It's not a far stretch to think that. How is Jack Smith going to explain that? This is devastating to their narrative that Trump was responsible for insurrection and all of this stuff. This man would get up there and testify that I couldn't do my job. And for 71 minutes, I was calling Nancy Pelosi. What was she doing?
I don't know what the other explanation is.
It's sad when you start putting everything together and thinking about the way this played out. It gets concerning. What was their end goal? You look at what's happening. Was that their end goal? I don't know.
Yeah. Wow, those are questions that they don't want us to ask. They want us to be dumb and forsake Trump. So, was it their end goal? What came out of it? Who benefited from this J6 narrative?
Well, I mean, there's no question that what happened on January 6th has really helped the Democratic Party. It's
really helped the
gravely politicized the U.S. military and the intelligence agencies and the FBI. And those are all, I think, bad for America and violations of the Constitution, but they're all good for the Democratic Party. That's the fact.
Isn't that crazy? All the results gave them more control and more power. Isn't that odd? Wow. Huh.
That's what happened.
Absolutely. And I write about that because as a cop of 30 years, I'm a rule of law type of guy.
Yeah.
There's a reason that Lady Justice is depicted with a blindfold. As soon as you cut that blindfold off, the fairness of our legal system goes out the window. And that is exactly what has happened. They've stripped that blindfold away from Lady Justice, and it's not perceived as being fair anymore.
Wow. Now, I wonder what they're going to do with this guy. I wonder how much intimidation they're going to have to drop out there if this goes to trial to stop him from coming in there and blowing up that narrative. Now, if I'm Trump's legal team, I'm subpoenaing Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, and I'm bringing this guy right in there to testify. Yep, after we cross-examine them, we like to call to the stand. Huh.
Man, shout out to Stephen Sun for telling the truth. The fact that they don't listen to that guy, they listen to other guys like Fanoni, who said...
Phony? Y'all hear that? So they would rather listen to Phony right there. That bootleg cop right there. Just making rounds on CNN and MSNBC to continue talking about Trump's white nationalist. He almost killed me. And had the nerve to compare Trump to Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, guys.
Say the right things shows exactly that Stephen Sund is right. They don't put him out in front of the cameras because he doesn't tell us what they want to hear.
And see, the problem with the Democrats, they try to push these narratives and they're so over the top, they don't bring in people who know how to temper it. You brought in that dude on a MSNBC show, and I watched him say, Osama bin Laden, and the lady was even like, don't you think that's a little drastic? I mean, I know we know you're a propagandist, but pull back a little bit. Make it believable. But when you bring a dude in there who's supposed to be a trained police officer and supposed to be able to handle situations like that, but he's been whining for 2 years, talking about it was greater than I was scared and Trump's evil. And now he's comparing him to Osama bin Laden. It's obvious that guy saying, you want to make Trump look bad? Watch this show I'm going to put on today when you bring me on. That's what it looked like. I'm going real big this time. I'm going with Osama bin Laden. They're like, ooh, you went a little too big. That's right. Pull back. Now, here's our second narrative that's about to be destroyed. Let's see. Oh, election interference. Because they said Trump, he could not have believed that this wasn't the most fair selection of all times. There's no way Trump could believe that he lost. Okay? He knew he lost. He knew he lost. He just didn't care. So now we're going to blow up that narrative real quick.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Oh, now there's a Freudian slip for you. That's creepy right there. Getting out there, making that statement, and was never questioned about it. Isn't that odd? They just act like he never said it. So maybe he knew something we didn't know, or actually we did know.
We now have hard evidence of a Michigan State Police investigation into a massive voter fraud operation, and we will show you all of those details directly from Michigan State Police. It is beyond your capacity to deny. Social media has always been awash in strange videos like this one from late in the evening at a vote tallying center in Detroit, where a van at 3 a.m. in the morning drops off what seems to be massive cartons of something. This is after, of course, all of the election observers, those are,
Wow. Now, I do find that a little odd. Remember, There's no need to question this election. It was the most free and fair of all times. Where are you people coming up with this evidence and stuff like that? So let me see. That was a late night, American, the Express or something, UPS dropping off late stuff. Yeah, that's what we're going with. How do you explain this? Nobody's supposed to be counting during these hours. What's in those boxes? Why didn't we have a trial? Why didn't we bring in these people? You mean to tell me we can't identify who was driving that van and bring them in if we were serious about voter integrity and all of that? So they didn't even want to get into a trial or an investigation because how would they explain this stuff? You would be able to subpoena this type of stuff, which now, because they're trying to say Trump knew he lost, but he didn't care. Now we can. Now we have evidence right now up in Michigan that this stuff took place. What else happened with this mysterious van?
What looks like ballot boxes after all the election observers had gone home.
What? So everybody was gone and they decided to spend a night. They were overachievers, hard workers. They like, I don't care if everybody gone, man. We got a responsibility to drop off these late ballots that shouldn't have been counted because everybody was gone. Huh?
You may recall. And everyone said that's a little strange.
Oh.
Why would people do that? That's not normal.
Well, they would do it, Benny, because they're cheating. They've probably been doing this longer than that.
And then you might recall that you went to bed assuming that Donald Trump would win Wisconsin and Michigan, Pennsylvania, and only to wake up to see charts like this, which looks really strange. I've never seen an election like that in my life. I've been doing this for a long time. I am 37 years old. I've been a political nerd for a long time. I've never seen anything like it. The hell is that? What is that?
Yeah, what is that big spike in the middle of the night? They got a spike in the middle of the night. Yeah, last minute push for creepy. 81 million votes. So let me see, in those 3 states, we just shut down stuff. We're up, we're leading, wake up tomorrow, and then we're losing. But we should shut our mouths and not question this, right? And Trump has no reason to think that he won this election. It was the most free and fair, except for all of these anomalies.
Well, they said it was mail-in ballots.
Oh.
You see. This graph shows Joe Biden overtook President Trump's lead through a small number of vote updates, which broke overwhelmingly for Biden. Oh, curious.
Oh, isn't that funny how all the mail-in ballots seem to help Biden? Whole bunch of van load of mail-in ballots, all for Biden. Mail-in ballots for Biden. At like 2, 3 in the morning, right?
Curious in the early morning hours. When they normally count votes. You see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we have a police report explaining what might have happened here.
Uh-oh. Now, all of a sudden, y'all, we got it on record. The police did a report on this mess. Let's see, maybe they could bring this into the courtroom as evidence and justification why we and Trump might not trust the election.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
A recently released report from Michigan law enforcement unveils the concerning voter fraud incident involving a group funded by Joe Biden's 2020 presidential campaign. This
Just like
organization
Crooked.
operating in multiple states is implicated in submitting fraudulent voter registrations during October 2020.
What?
Following a raid, Michigan authorities discovered caches of prepaid gift cards, firearm equipped with silencers, and disposable burner phones.
Well, they had probably the cartel doing this business for them. What kind of organization was Joe Biden and his campaign funding? Who was driving the van? A whole bunch of mules dropping off some illegal immigrants. But right now, you guys shut up, okay? I got to do a favor for the Democrats first by dropping off these illegal ballots. All right, then we'll continue violating our laws and drop you people off. Make sure you got your wristbands on. I want our money, okay? So wait a minute. These dudes rolling with guns, silencers. But yeah. But it seems like Biden and all of them were financing these people. To do what?
Throughout the 2020 election period, these Democrat election committees provided more than $4 million for this particular organization.
Now, why is it that the Democrats are always surrounded by criminals? Either they're receiving money from them or giving money to them. Just like that little young dude who was donating all that money to the Democrats, only to find out he was a criminal. Interesting. Epstein, Weinstein, Now, all of a sudden, this organization, for some reason, instead of finding an upstanding, PAC or a group or whatever organization to help out with their, campaigning, they use this corrupt enterprise.
You can see here from Biden, from the Democrat Senatorial Committee, from the DNC.
Look at all that money. So from President Biden, 450,000, Democrat Senatorial campaign, 2.1 something million, and then a Democrat Party from Iowa, $493,100. All of them donating. What did they pay for? That's my question. Gave them all that money for what? What were they looking for? What kind of results did they get?
From the Democratic Party of Iowa. Seems like a money laundering operation.
Yes, it does.
Well, what did they end up doing? The investigation was initiated following the observation of Muskegon, Michigan clerk who noticed an individual depositing 8 to 10,000 completed voter registration applications in the city office on October 8th, 2020.
October 8th, 2020, 8 to 10,000 was put in. Okay, so that's 8 to 10,000 by one person?
Same individual returned multiple times, registering additional 25,000 voters. This is not normal.
Whoa, that dude is humping, man. So he returned again with 25,000 additional? Dude, that's amazing to me. That dude right there is bringing them in.
So they're registering maybe 12,000 people? Alarmingly, many of these registrations displayed identical handwriting with fraudulent addresses and phone numbers. Additionally, the signatures did not match those on file with the Michigan Secretary of State. And here are the receipts, ladies and gentlemen. Numerous forms appeared to have been completed with the same handwriter. Initial examination addresses multiple forms were invalid or non-existent. Mensch, this is the poll worker who works for the city clerk, investigated further and found phone numbers, multiple forms were erroneous, and signatures of multiple forms didn't appear to match signatures on file.
But wait a minute, according to Jack Smith, according to Jack in the Box, Trump had no reason to question the election. According to the media and all of them, there's no reason to question it. By questioning the election, you're questioning our institutions and you're pretty much a domestic terrorist. And Trump launched an insurrection based on him not being able to cope with a loss. Now, I wonder how they're going to explain this during the trial. Not to mention all of the other anomalies that should be brought in. Like the video footage of them spending the night down there in Atlanta, swiping. Huh? Wonder how to explain that. Or maybe the video footage with Project Veritas up there in Michigan, where Ilhan Omar, campaign manager, was paying people for ballots. These are things that if I was a defender, I would bring all of that in. All of that. Okay.
With the Department of Secretary of State. This company was working to register voters and help registered voters obtain absentee ballots.
Oh.
This is, of course, according to the Michigan Department of State Police.
Yeah.
These are real reports. These are legitimate reports.
Legitimate, YouTube. Just in case y'all try to suppress me and unexist me for spreading voter disinformation. This is a report from the police in Michigan. You can go and look it up.
You can find them on file. Here are the archives. You can find them on file with the state of Michigan.
The people across this country.
Wow. Now, how is Jack in the Box going to explain that? I think that's a legitimate reason for Trump to question the legitimacy of that election. But wait, there's more.
Guaranteed a fair venue, a fair trial of their peers. And how in the world do you think that President Trump is ever going to get a fair trial in Washington, D.C.?
Well, that's the point. They don't want him to have a fair trial because they know their case got all kind of holes in it. And the only people who wouldn't be able to see it are people who are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, like up at D.C.
The basic content of this these charges are that he was participated in or caused the problems on January 6th. Let's keep in mind that President Trump is the only person who tried to provide additional security on January 6th of 2021.
What? Boy, this is going to blow up Jack Smith. Because we just heard the officer right there, the director or the chief, say that he wasn't able to do his job. That's right. He tried to bring in some extra help, but Nancy Pelosi was shooting film and stuff and all of that. So it took her some time. She wanted to get the film just right and stuff. You know, it wasn't a priority for her to respond. Okay, so wait. Trump was the only one trying to stop the deadly insurrection? What else?
He offered Mayor Bowser, the National Guard troops. He offered Speaker Pelosi, the National Guard troops, so that they would have additional people there to help with crowd control. And that
sounds like a good plan for insurrectionists. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do everything to stop the insurrection and make it more difficult, okay? versus the people who were responsible for security doing everything they could to make the insurrection easier. Now, isn't that odd? But nobody subpoenaed Nancy Pelosi. Subpoena immediately.
At the crux to this, that is what it is all about, crowd control. Speaker Pelosi and Mayor Bowser refused this additional security, and no one has ever asked them a single question.
But we will be able to do it now. I like to call to the stand Nasty Pelosi and stupid Bowser, so we can ask them, why did you turn that down? What were you doing in the basement for 71 minutes while the officer over here was blowing your phone up? We got video footage of you walking around talking about, you know what, if Trump come over here right now, I'll punch him in the face. I'll punch him right now. I don't care. I'll go to prison. While you were doing all of that mess.
About when they learned that they were going to need additional security. Who made those recommendations to them? Why was it that they refused to have the additional security in place? We know that 96% of the population in Washington, D.C. has voted for Democrats. Why in the world would anyone ever think that Republicans, certainly the former president of the United States, Trump, is going to be able to receive a fair trial in Washington, D.C.?
And that's exactly why they want it there. Because they know that us, as Trump supporters, know that that is the place where they're going to get a stupid conviction. They know that too. That's why they're going, can we do this in D.C.? And the Florida judge is like, for what? Explain why you want to do that in D.C. Tell us. Because I want to be close to my friends and family. No, that's not good enough.
And the entire prosecutorial staff is biased and has demonstrated that.
Yeah, no, and we've been saying all morning long that this is going to be a huge issue going into 2024. It almost creates a new, checkbox.
Why?
I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried or thinking about abortion. I'm thinking about the border. I'm also thinking about the weaponization of the federal government now as well.
Bam! That's why, as we listen to Madam up there talking about, I don't know why all these people still support Trump. I don't know why these people won't forsake him. Because of that. That right now is at the top of my priority. When I sit back and listen to any candidate, if they don't immediately say, we got to get rid of these folks who abuse their they possibly be connected. And all freaking mission. Let me give it a second. Somebody say bad buffering. Am I back? Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Am I good? I'm still good over here on YouTube. Facebook, rather. Am I back? Yeah. Somebody said too much truth telling. Right. That's right. Too much truth telling. So what I need to see is a person who's saying, I won't even be a part of the Republican Party, period. You better be a radical when it comes down to going after these institutions that have abused their power. I don't want to see you petting them, talking about they ain't that bad. Don't treat it like no ugly baby. Ain't he so cute? No. I'm looking at that baby going, that's an ugly baby. You better recognize it, dang on it. Don't be talking about he's so cute or a bad kid. Yeah, acting a fool and you talking about, but he's such a little devil. Yeah, that's why you need to whoop his tail real bad. That's what I need to see. And so they know that Trump is going to do that. And that is a number one priority for me and millions of folks. You can't focus on nothing else if you know that these evil, corrupt, powerful people are looming over your head and your future. I love to sit and focus on, the economy and, I'm looking at the border. You put evil people in power, you don't have say over none of that no more. Those people will drag you to the border and say, get your butt across there at some point. So, yes, that done elevated to number one. And they asking, why are people still supporting Trump? Dang on.
Ed is the only person who tried to provide additional security on January 6th of 2021. He offered Mayor Bowser the National Guard troops. He offered Speaker Pelosi the National Guard troops so that they would have additional people there to help with crowd control. And at the crux to this, that is what it is all about, crowd control. Speaker Pelosi and Mayor Bowser refused this additional security, and no one has ever asked them a single question about when they learned that they were going to need additional security. Who made the
morning long that this is going to be a huge issue going into 2024. It almost creates a new, checkbox. I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried or thinking about abortion. I'm thinking about the border. I'm also thinking about the weaponization of the federal government now as well.
Sure, Jack. Look, Jackie, that's why we created the select committee on the weaponization of government, the 118th Congress, because the people across the nation have been crying out for equal justice. Equal justice under the law cannot just be a slogan that we throw around here in the United States. It has to be a reality. And any person on the street, I've been back in Montana for a week now, meeting with people across the state, and they do not see.
And wait. I'm sure all of those people you met with, their first concern was, we're concerned about transgender rights and the protection of kids to read books and go and look at drag queens and stuff. I'm sure that's their first priority, right? I'm sure. See, or anybody with common sense is going, hey man, what's going on with what we're seeing? Why are these people concoctioning up all kind of charges on Trump and trying to interfere with this election? Why are we ending up on some kind of crazy FBI list talking about extremism because I wear a certain shirt? I'm a little concerned about that. Why are those people from J6 still in prison right about now? And we find out the FBI been spying on parents. Because guess what? Your society will break down. Nothing else matters if they don't feel there's law and order and equal justice. You're talking about unraveling the country. You're talking about chaos. You're talking about a civil war. You're talking about real just uprising. Let folks start saying they're being treated differently than us. So yes, that's number one.
Equal justice under the law, and they're not going to stand for it, and that's why we're doing everything in our control to stop this. I joined on with a piece of legislation with Representative Gates from Florida to defund Jack Smith's section of the Department of Justice and keep him from pursuing this.
And every single Republican should have signed on to that. Every single one of them. Now, we're about to unmask who's behind all of this J6 stuff. I wonder if Jack Smith knows about this stuff. Let's see.
As indictments continue to mount against Donald Trump, we are looking into who is behind the strategy that unloaded all of this upon America. Nancy Pelosi, now emerging as a frontrunner. Very interesting.
There it is. You weak Scoob. We done unmasked who's really behind it. And I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for that evil Donald Trump. So let's hear what Nasty's role was in J6, y'all.
Came out, showing her in this dark, demonic portrait mode, explaining that she was operating behind the scenes to create the Trump indictment, not impeachment. Remember, Nancy Pelosi was the former Speaker of the House. She was responsible, as the Speaker, for leading the Democrats when they were in charge. They did impeach Donald Trump twice. That's within her jurisdiction. Something that is not within her jurisdiction is criminal law. That's done by the executive branch. So what the heck is Nancy Pelosi playing an essential role for in a historic indictment? We've seen for a long time more evidence mounting. Joe Biden told Merrick Garland to go and prosecute Trump. Stop sitting on the fence and being a weenie about it.
Wow. And yet they said Trump was making a phone call and he asked about an investigation against his political opponent and they impeached him for it. But yet Joe Biden told Garlic specifically, get off your butt and go prosecute Trump. But this isn't politically motivated. Now, here's the problem with most sociopaths, most serial killers. They like to boast, like Joe. See, they like to let their work be seen. They like glory from, feeling like I got away with it. That's why Joe got up to the prosecutor. I told him if you don't fire him by tomorrow, you ain't getting the money. They always got to go ahead and boast. They got to be like, the Zodiac killer. It's like, I got to leave something behind. So now what she did is gets out and boast about, I stuck it to Trump. All she ended up doing is revealing that she was the mastermind behind it.
Special counsel Jack Smith is not an independent counsel. He reports to Merrick Garland. Even the media confirms that.
So wait a minute. Now the appearance of an equal, fair, independent counsel goes right out the window. Jack in the Box that reports directly to Garlic. Yeah, and we're supposed to believe Garlic is hands off. Hands off.
One after another, we see FBI weaponized against Trump, executive branch weaponized against Trump, the legislative branch weaponized against Trump, as these people all sit around and tell us that this was not a political attack. The story tells differently. They say if you were to draw up a list of the people most responsible for the latest indictment of Trump, okay, you'd have Trump, you'd have prosecutors, Republicans in Congress have a role, but you can't tell the story of Trump's historic indictment without Pelosi. Pelosi, then Speaker of the House, insisted on a congressional inquiry following January 6th. She created the committee that is illegally constituted under House rules. Should have had 13 members on it, only had 9. Should have had 5 Republicans, only had 2. Should have had input on the Republicans who were appointed to the committee, didn't. They just threw on Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. And it was the work of the select committee that finally appears to have spurred a reluctant Justice Department into action. So Pelosi nudged the committee, which nudged the Justice Department, if you believe that. I don't think they're reluctant at all. They've got 2 of them going, setting in motion a more intense phase of criminal scrutiny. The resulting...
So they worked backwards. The Justice Department was like, hey, throw us the bone and we'll go after it. We're going to pretend that we weren't thinking about this. We haven't premeditated this. We haven't sat back and said, now, you know, we're going to go after Trump. We're going to pretend that your stupid investigation is what prompted us to launch this investigation and go after Trump. So don't worry, we got your back. I don't care what the evidence, I don't care how ragged your investigation is, how biased it is, how lack of evidence, no cross-examining, no fair and balanced folks, no bringing in other witnesses. We don't need none of that. Give us the most basic bootleg narrative you can possibly give, and we'll pretend that that's serious enough for us to go after Trump. So that's what happened?
Indictment closely tracks with the committee's work and the evidence presented by the committee. So she's acting as like a prosecutor, exploiting the corrupt operation of Congress. Pelosi told the Intelligencer, New York Mag, says, I knew on January 6th Trump had committed a crime. The author says, I wondered what was going through her head as someone who played an essential role in bringing about the most important criminal prosecution in the history of our country.
Whoa. So here she is boasting about her work.
I knew right then in January 6th that Trump had committed a crime.
How would you know that? Because you planned it. Yeah, see, this is where your hubris gets you. You sit back and you're telling me that before any details came out, you knew Trump had committed a crime. Interesting. And then the stupid person interviewing you probably is trying to tell your story about how strong and powerful you are as a woman to stand up against that white nationalist, actually comes out and is like, wow, this woman plays such an essential and important role. And the criminal prosecution, the biggest one in history. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, continue boasting and pumping her up so we can get more details about her involvement.
What a psychopath thing to say. Your political opponents are bringing about the most important criminal prosecutions in the history of our country, which just happens to be your political opponent. And I was curious when it had occurred to her that Trump was actually a criminal. She was one of Trump's #1 opponents. She went toe-to-toe with him, is what this journalist says.
You see that? That journalist is boasting about her? Man, look how insightful she was. How brilliant she was. You know what? Tell us again. The very moment that you knew Trump was a criminal.
Well, I knew he was a criminal as soon as the insurrection started.
Not realizing that brings up another question. How did you know that? See? Yeah. Ask her those questions because, see, how did you know that? Nobody else knew it. It was supposed to be organic. Right? It was supposed to be organic. You should have been like, what's going on up there? I mean, what do you mean these people? But instead, you conclude that, wait a minute, if anything is going on up there, Trump's a criminal. He's behind it. Interesting.
The rioters ransacked her office when she was making her film documentary with her daughter, saying, I've been waiting for this. Pelosi and
she did say that. I've been waiting for this. When she was doing her documentary and not returning the call for the captain of Capitol Security. Yeah. While he was up there blowing her up, nasty, pick up the phone. We're under attack.
You know what? That'll have to wait. Make sure you get my good side. Wait, I don't have one of those. You know what? Just get either side. They're both ugly.
Unbelievable.
Impeached him again. She was also colluding with General Milley, talking about the 25th Amendment, telling him to call China in the thing. To this day, Pelosi gets under Trump's skin. But long before January 6th itself, Pelosi had been preparing for Trump to try to disrupt the transfer of power. I'm sure she was preparing. During the election, I thought, he's going to try to pull a stunt, and we have to try to have as many states in the Democratic column as possible. She told me, revealing some of her backroom deals.
Now, how does she know that? She's sitting back talking about I knew he was going to try to do something. Or could it be that you knew you were going to plan something? Interesting. How does she know all of this? Is she clairvoyant? Is she a prophet? Huh? So here she is boasting, talking about, I knew this was going down. How did you know that? I didn't. Nobody knew it but you? Because honestly, I didn't get no memo. Even the so-called insurrectionists had no idea they were even launching an insurrection. They thought they were just walking over the Capitol, let their voices peacefully be heard, and got a little invite in by the police, while Antifa is the ones who pushed in first. But here's Nasty boasting, letting out all of the details.
Said that the House would have to move. Look at this. She told me contemplating the possibility that Biden's victory might not be certified and that the House would have to move to an obscure procedure in which each state's congressional delegation would cast a single vote to determine the next president. Oh my gosh. Did somebody tell the FBI about this? You're telling me that Nancy Pelosi was doing contingency planning on an election so that if her guy wasn't a clear winner, that they would do something differently? Oh my God.
Wow. Now that sounds like a conspiracy. Who are the co-conspirators? That sounds like they all got together and said, here's the backup plan, because we're going to win even if we lose. It's fascinating. So nobody's questioning her about that, alternative plan and all of this. What made you even think you need to do that, Nasty?
My God, this is crazy. It's almost like what the alternative electors were doing with Mike Pence. Everybody was preparing contingencies. Now, if she were a Republican, she might be being raided and investigated by the FBI for doing this. She's contemplating the possibility of a different process. Trump promptly proceeded to validate that concern. Maybe. She was responsible, her sergeant at arms, for security there. She says, as we got closer to January 6th, I knew he was cooking up all these things.
How did you know that, Nasty? As we got closer to January 6th. Now, this is where hubris gets you. Yeah, you want to act like you were so clairvoyant. You were so in tune. What was going on? I knew he was up to something before January 6th. No, what you knew is as soon as they announced a rally, this is our opportunity to make Trump look like he's the villain and demonize all of his supporters. That's what you did. That's why you and Bowser said, no, we won't be needing those extra troops. Let them stay at the crib and let this mess unfold.
What was he going to do about it? It was clear he knew he did not win the election. It was clear he had to disrupt. When we saw what he did on January 6th, I knew it was a crime, Pelosi said. What can be proven in court, I don't know, but I know he committed a crime that day. Now, after Biden got inaugurated, she organized what they call here, was a total joke, a bipartisan 9/11 commission type hearing. Yeah, and they passed H.R. 503, which said 13 members, 5 Republicans, who are appointed in consultation with the minority, which were the Republicans at the time. They didn't get 5 Republicans that they could agree upon. So Pelosi said, to hell with you in the minority, and we're just going to appoint 2 Republicans that we like. Liz Cheney.
There you go. It seems like a cover-up. It seems like she's strategically putting together a committee that is going to be very biased and to make Trump look like he was a criminal. What?
No, we don't want Jim Jordan. No, we won't have Marjorie Taylor Greene on that. No, we won't be having Matt Gaetz. Give us Liz Cheney and Adam Singler, the 2 rhinos.
Isn't that odd? And then had a show trial. And we're supposed to take it seriously.
And Kinzinger. It wasn't bipartisan at all. In fact, it was in violation of their own House rules. We yielded on every point, Pelosi recalled, of the negotiation with her Republicans. We gave them an equal number of commission members, which we always have done. We did it because it was so awful for our country. It never happened. She says it turned out what was a historic miscalculation. Mitch McConnell blocked it in the Senate. Pelosi took it back to the House. Pelosi then shifted gears, so she created a select committee in the House. Pelosi quickly decided negotiations aren't going anywhere. She said Kevin McCarthy wanted to appoint members who would, quote, totally undermine the committee. You mean, have an alternative opinion? You mean,
did you see that? Undermine the committee. Not the facts, not reveal the truth, not get to the truth, not be non-biased, not be a second pair of eyes. Undermine the committee, meaning this: anybody who was and have any integrity and who was not going to allow them to concoction a bootleg trial, we don't want them people on it. Yeah, we don't want those type of people. See, we want folks that sold out and committed to our corruption.
Jim Jordan would ask a difficult question. So Pelosi just said to hell with them. Okay, she recalled. That's really nice. So you get consultation as who to serve. I've consulted with you and I've said no. That's the power of the speaker. So she just fired all of them. She then assembled a group of Democratic people, including Republican Vice Chair Liz Cheney, 6 other Democrats, and Adam Kinzinger. And she called it a bipartisan committee. Did not take long for observers to conclude McCarthy monumentally misplayed his hand. They were not riveting. Everybody thought that they were a joke. So then all of that, which Pelosi created, she worked to ensure that members members would, it's almost like she created a little bit of a grand jury. She said the quality of the membership was one of the best presentations in the history of our country. It was great, it was scripted, they were all reading from teleprompters, and it didn't have even any adversarial proceedings. And in fact, they put on a bunch of liars too.
Yeah, isn't that odd? So wait, you telling me Pelosi put on a production, y'all? She's now in the directing business? That whole J6 thing that took place during prime time, where they brought out Eric Estrada and that guy from Green Mile and all of those people? You telling me that was just nothing but a big old show trial? They didn't have no cross-examination. They didn't have no fair and balanced committee members. It was all just to create the perception that it's obvious that Trump is guilty. We done concluded already. We done concluded. Because remember, she said she knew soon as J6 took place that Trump was guilty. Does that sound like innocent until proven? That sounds like already know the outcome. Already have concluded that this man's guilty. And you wonder why we don't trust these people. It's kind of like that prosecutor up there in New York before she was even installed talking about, oh, if y'all elect me, I'm going to be a pain in the butt to Trump. Ooh, I'm going to go after him all in his finances. I'm going to be... That sounds like you are premeditated. And you wonder why we still supporting Trump. Madam couldn't understand it.
Clavicle girl comes to mind, who said Trump was, I think, ripping the Secret Service clavicle apart as he was trying to commandeer the man. Meanwhile, there were questions about what the Justice Department was going to do to address the criminal culpability here. The DOJ was not pursuing those same threads. I asked Pelosi whether she had tried to speak with Merrick Garland or Biden or anyone in the White House. No, she said, telling me she did not think it was appropriate for her to try to influence the department behind closed doors, I'm sure. I did want them to pay attention. I hope that we got their attention. That's why the presentation had to be the way it was. Which was totally fake. We couldn't have people like the Republicans who would be disruptive. Too much was at stake. They had to fake this whole story. There was...
Wow, she is vomiting up all of the details of this corrupt, pieced together J6 committee. Yeah, man, we had to get their attention by putting on a big show trial. Hear ye, step right up. She should have came out with one of those big hats. Yeah, like in the carnival. Step right up over here. You'll see the big fat man who acts like he actually was a police officer. That guy right there, I was scared for my life. Step right up. All of that mess. So here she is confessing this stuff. Pure hubris. Let's continue. Nasty Pelosi's diary, her confession.
Palpable anxiety among House Democrats when the DOJ wasn't making progress, when they weren't investigating Trump directly. The Post published an 8,000-word essay. It said it took more than a year for them to get some steam on this, and now Trump has been indicted. She says at the end of the day, we have to see what happens. If he were to be president, it would be a criminal enterprise in the White House.
So if he was to become the president again, it would be a criminal enterprise in the White House. Unlike the one that's currently in the White House. Projection at its best. So now she's doing a lot right now, thinking that she's trying to help run interference for this bootleg indictment and justify why it's real and legitimate. But all she's doing is justifying why she need to be the number one person called to that stand if this goes to trial. Wow.
So this woman has been spearheading the removal of Donald Trump for a long time. Here she is on with CNN talking about some of this. So you can hear it right from her.
So you have a singular experience of January 6th. As you read the indictment, what was your reaction and what jumped out to you?
It's heartbreaking.
Wait, you make sure that you lick that mush mouth before you start speaking. It gets quite mushy when she's lying, okay? So let's continue listening to the big fat canary lie.
For our country to have a president of the United States.
Heartbreaking.
With this list of charges against him. And I just want to commend...
you guys all created.
The January 6th committee, the House committee, bipartisan committee.
Bipartisan committee that I shut down and made sure that we only had people who was complicit. That one.
See? So now, you try to create the perception of bipartisan. Look, man, I asked them. I said, yo, man, who you want to put on this committee? No, not Jim Jordan. Well, I thought we got a chance to decide that. Well, I'm just saying, not him. Okay, well, fine then. Matt Gaetz. No, not him either. Well, then, how about Marjorie Taylor? No, not him. So then, are you really consulting with us? You know what? I tell you what. We'll take Liz Cheney and we'll take Adam over there. There you go. I consulted with you. You didn't agree with me, so I just shut you down. But now I can tell everybody. I consulted with you. It was bipartisan.
Bipartisan.
Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney and all the members of the committee and the staff for the work that they did. They laid a foundation of facts,
Of lies?
about facts and the law, and made a criminal
the
referral
law.
to the Justice Department.
They're not a grand jury.
That was the end of December. That was in December of the end of last year, 2022.
I know.
And we didn't know what we couldn't know. It wasn't our role to know what the Justice Department would do, if anything. So when
Y'all believe that? Where is Tom and Jerry when I need them? Oh. Don't you believe her?
And it became
But
clear
Biden
that
said he
there
wanted it
would
done.
be criminal charges
Okay,
made.
right.
It's interesting to see how similar they are to some of the charges recommended by the January 6th.
Isn't it? Isn't that odd? That some of these charges are very similar to all of the stuff you recommended over there with that bootleg J6 trial? Except for they didn't charge him for insurrection or sedition. I mean, I thought he was Osama bin Laden, man. They let that man go after that indictment. Brought him in. All right, Osama, we know you blew up the towers. We're going to have a trial a couple months from now. But you go back out and just stay out of trouble, okay? That's what you want us to believe? You want us to take it seriously? We're almost done, y'all. She is lying like a dog.
It's interesting,
and
isn't
I
it?
commend again the committee.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of them, their courage, their bravery, and the courage really of all of those who are making the case now.
Watching
of course,
her eyes.
the former
What's going on
president
there?
is
She reading?
innocent until proven
Yeah, she is
guilty.
reading.
No one is above the law, and the assault that they are making on the rule of law in our country is really a sad thing. I'm sure it would bring tears to the eyes of our founders.
I'm sure.
Wow, she read that script the best she could with those big lion eyes. You see those lion eyes going back and forth?
Okay, Nasty, I know I've been drinking a little bit, but come on, let's see if we can make out these words.
So, those lion eyes read that script, and of course you had to stick the landing with
No one is above the law.
and all of that mess. That big, nasty, dirty bird up there lying about this and really describing themselves.
The
would have
current
a lot
Speaker of
of
the House,
problems.
your successor, Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy, he responded to the latest indictment by posting on the social media site formerly known as Twitter, quote, House Republicans will continue to uncover the truth about Biden Incorporated and the true two-tiered system of justice, unquote. He went on from there. What's your response to Speaker McCarthy trying to refocus this to
let's hear
Hunter
this one.
Biden and President Biden?
What I would say is, and to remind the American people, that on the night when it was very clear to the Republican leadership in the House of Representatives and in the United States Senate that there was an incitement instigated by the President of the United States on the Capitol, on the Congress, more importantly, on the Constitution of the United States. They saw the danger that we were in. They saw the lack of response from the President for not sending the National Guard.
What? This is priceless. You hear this woman projecting all over. She's projecting all over the microphone, all over the lens, vomiting. I can't even see her. That's how much projection is on that screen. Her butt just said, they saw it all. I'm going, yeah, I saw it. I saw Trump say, go over and let your voices peacefully heard. I saw police officers opening the doors. I saw you walking around in the basement doing a video. A little documentary, that's what I saw. I saw that Capitol Police captain talking about they wouldn't let me do my job and she didn't answer the phone for 71 minutes. I saw you guys, after an insurrection, go right back to solidify those votes. Yes, some insurrection.
You're talking about in the Capitol and the rule of law. They saw it.
We saw that production you put on.
Pleaded for him.
Stephen Sund said that.
And Chuck Schumer and I kept pleading with him
71
to
minutes.
call off
Oh,
his
gosh.
troops, but to send in the National Guard. They saw the danger.
Oh, now you want the troops? Now you want the troops, mush? Now you want the troops, nasty?
After all the damage was done, I said, no, not yet. Let's go ahead, because the perception isn't good enough. Let's let it go on for a while.
And then she calls in the troops and gets mad, talking about what's taking the troops so long. The ones you could have had days before that Trump offered. Now, how is Jack Smith going to square this?
They made statements about it that recognized the involvement of President Trump, and then so many of them, majority of them in the House, voted to reject peaceful transfer of government, accepting the numbers that the vote of the American people, as demonstrated by the Electoral College vote. It was heartbreaking
Total scam.
all the tragedy of that night, and then to see them say, "Okay, we're not supporting the peaceful transfer of power in our country."
Yeah, and those that didn't support it got demonized. Yeah, that's why you got sellouts like Lindsey Graham talking about, after I saw this, I'm going to... And Mitch McConnell. And the ones that said, "Now, I don't care what dang on production y'all put on. I don't care what went on. I'm still not doing that." Oh, so you guys right there, you're pretty much supporting J6 murderers. You're supporting the insurrectionists. That's what that was designed to do. So now all of a sudden, we're going to bully a whole bunch of Republicans after this production go on when the police were escorting folks all around. And we come right back to work. We're going to bully them. We're going to get them on record voting against certifying the election and then say, well, you pretty much was co-conspirators with Trump because he's the insurrectionist. Y'all all saw it. Y'all saw it. I'm almost done, y'all. I just got to finish exposing nasty Pelosi. Unbelievable. She's nastier than I thought. That's if my computer works. It's locking up. Too much nastiness. Okay, wait a minute. Don't you do... You better.
You can just see how they're almost setting up the dominoes. It's like, well, we know you were upset about the election, but then the riot happened, so now you shouldn't be upset about the election anymore. Wait a minute. How does that make sense? Just because there was a short riot that lasted like 4 hours means we should just forget about the election? The riot means that everything that we saw happen didn't happen just because of that thing that happened for a couple hours? No.
That means more to me than any of this nonsense that he's engaged in now.
We've also seen a similar response from
family.
many of the Republican presidential hopefuls. I want you to take a listen to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis talking to Fox.
One of the reasons I'm running for President, Harris, is to reconstitutionalize the federal government and these agencies that have become weaponized, the FBI, the DOJ, against political opponents. A D.C. jury would indict a ham sandwich and convict a ham sandwich if it was a Republican ham sandwich.
This is largely the response from Republicans in the House and Republican presidential candidates, with the exception of Chris Christie, Asa Hutchinson, and Will Byrd, attacking the Justice Department instead of talking about the allegations made in the indictment. Well, what's your response?
Well,
yeah, Chris Crispy. So, Nasty, we need you to come out so that you can downplay the belief that the Justice Department has been weaponized and they're trying to set Trump up with a bootleg jury up there in D.C. Okay, we want you to go ahead and make them seem like they're undermining the rule of law.
You know what, Jake? Every time we want to talk about the Biden crime family, you people only want to talk about Trump. So when it's Trump indictment and Republicans talk about Biden, that's totally fair. Because every time a Biden problem pops up, you talk about Trump.
I'm not responding to them. I'm speaking, as I always have, with or without them. The rule of law is central to a democracy. The fact that the former president was always attacking the rule of law in our country, and now these guys are parroting that. Shame on them. But again, let's not talk about them. Let's just talk about our Constitution, our country, our respect for the rule of law. And by the way, while he was undermining the rule of law, he was also undermining a pillar of our democracy.
What?
Part of the First Amendment to the Constitution.
What is it?
Freedom of the press. So if he can diminish the role of the press...
Man, nasty is getting nastier and nastier. That's right. So call me a tinfoil hat wearing person. Yeah, because the government tried to set Trump up. You hear her getting nastier as she goes. He's also undermining the rule of law and, of course, the First Amendment. Wait, which one is that? Thou shalt obey nasty. No, that's not it. Thou shalt be nasty. No, that's right. Okay, back to the rule of law. Now, something about the rules of law. Is there such thing as the law? I don't know. Anyway, nonetheless, that white nationalist in the White House decided to...
That's what she's trying to say. You hear this garbage coming out of this woman's mouth?
Press in the mind of the people to know what the facts are.
What are you talking about?
And we can diminish the
by
role
calling the
of
press the enemy of the people
in our country. We're on a path that is not a good one for our democracy.
You're right.
So let's not spend too much time on them. Let's spend time on where we need to be as a country.
Well, tell us.
Let's spend time on the greatness of Joe Biden's administration and what he's done for the country, creation of jobs, cutting unemployment in half and the rest. And you bring up a political question by talking about their political candidates for president.
What is Jake thinking right now? Look at him.
If you want to talk about that, let's talk about good things.
Who is this crazy woman on my show?
Let's give people hope. But there is a moment of tragedy in our country in these days, and actually days leading up to now, because there have been other indictments. The former person who held the office of President of the United States had no respect
She
for
just
the
went back to
office he
Trump.
held.
Yeah. But she wants to move on. She don't want to talk about Trump, even though I'm here to simply try to talk about Trump the whole time, because our policies suck. And I'm going to diminish and demoralize your intelligence by pretending that Joe Biden actually was accomplishing something. That's right, but I'm not here to talk about Trump. I'm here to talk about all of our accomplishments. That white nationalist undermined it. That's right. He challenged our power and our success. Wait, I'm sorry. Did I say I wasn't going to talk about Trump? Yes? Okay. Okay, back to Trump. Now, that white nationalist, I want to punch him in the face right now. That's what she's doing.
She just went back to Trump. She said we should move on.
No respect.
She just went full circle back to Trump.
Press in our country to tell the story. One
Didn't
side
you just
or
say
another.
let's talk
I
about
always
Joe
like
Biden?
The way the press talks about me, but
She
that
just took us
doesn't
all the way
mean
back to Trump.
That should diminish the freedom of the press to speak. So we're at a place. We have an opportunity, a real opportunity to save our country and to do it in a unifying way.
By voting for Trump. We do have an opportunity, everybody, to save our country by voting for Trump. And they wonder why we're still supporting him.
To be respectful of people who may have voted for him, may have been, for whatever reason.
How much
that
wine
did
they have in that green
and
room
that's
back
their
there?
vote, and that's their right.
For
But
whatever
they should
reason
not
why
be
we did it.
dragged into the gutter with him in terms of his undermining the United States of America, our democracy, our rule of law, our Constitution.
Given. All right, so enough of that. All right, so she's sauced up or something. Speaking of some serious hystericism.
We're going to close with this.
I want to share this clip from Joe Brzezinski. He has
Not
this
him.
show on MSNBC
Not Beaker.
where he hosts, I think his wife hosts the show and he is a sidekick or something. But absolute freak out moment from him. What if Trump wins? We're all going to die.
And what Baker says in the Wall Street Journal piece, Reverend Al, is if Republicans continue this line of thinking, if they continue their support for Donald Trump, they needn't fool themselves.
What?
A second Trump administration would destroy the Department of Justice, would destroy the FBI, would destroy the federal government's rule of law, would destroy judicial independence. It would destroy the third branch of America's government. It would rip to shreds Madisonian democracy. They need to understand what they're doing, and perhaps they do. I'm just trying to figure out what is so important about this former reality TV host that they're willing to literally throw away Madisonian democracy to defend it.
If you don't know Beaker, now you're about to find out. Did you hear this dude? He basically sold us on it. He wanted to destroy these institutions. I'm going exactly. Yeah, you figured it out. That's exactly why we're supporting him. We need him to do that because we see you're a part of those institutions, buddy. Talking about, don't they realize that? Yes, that's why it's resonating with us.
That is what really troubles me, is that it's clear that you can have political debate, those of us consider on the left, those on the right. But when you see what is going on now, I think the New York Times has a story about it this morning, where you have the actual institutions of government that would be totally altered by the politics of today, particularly if Trump were to win. I mean, are these people really saying that's what they want to advocate?
Yes.
The absolute destruction of the Justice Department as we know it and all of the institutional law pillars as we know it, because that's where they're going. They are undermining the very principles that the country was founded on.
No. I'm loving it. These people are basically saying what we're feeling, but trying to make it seem like what we're feeling is wrong. What you're doing is selling me on my own thoughts. You're confirming it. I'm agreeing with you, Al. I'm like, that's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we want. And you're a part of that. Swamp. One of the swampiest right there with that skinny neck. Dang on it. I don't see how they found a shirt small enough for that neck. Dang on it. I want the fat Al back.
We are wanting a restoration of those principles. We actually would like justice in America. Just because we have a Justice Department doesn't mean we have justice in America. We're all huge fans of equal protection and due process of the law and presumption of innocence. We love not prosecuting our political opponents like partisan hacks. We're big fans of that. What has happened is these institutions have been corrupted and perverted by your people and your party, exactly resulting in what we see today. So absolutely, the current form of the DOJ, no, we don't want that. FBI, no, not okay with that. Any government bureaucracies that are crapping all over our, I'm getting vulgar here today, need to be held accountable. They need to be a part of the conversation about dramatic restoration, reform, replacement, removal, gone.
And that is...
And see, what they don't do, they're not able to recognize their own hand in this. You only support these institutions or agencies as long as they are fair, balanced, and don't abuse their power. When you start showing that you've overstepped your boundaries and you're abusing your power, then you got to go. Don't be telling me support evilness, even though, because it's the police. These are people right there, the FBI. You support the men and women. I support the ones that's legit. But the ones at the top got to go. I don't trust them. Even if you get rid of that first layer, how many other layers we got? Right now, man, it's contaminated. We got to get rid of the whole thing, man. Because if we try to replace somebody, we don't know if that person's around. Or look what happened to Chris Ray. Bumped him up and he's just as raggedy as Big for Nothing homie. So yeah, gotta go. But y'all brought this on yourselves. Now don't be talking about why are they questioning these institutions and they're trying to tear down our democracy. These people care nothing about our democracy. They're trying to tear it down. They care nothing about our Constitution. They wipe their butt with it every single day. When they get on here and push this propaganda and try to silence our speech, try to go after our guns, all of the things you can do to destroy our constitutional rights, these people are part of, and now they're shocked. They're shocked that we would want all of these things dealt with. Go figure.
Is democracy as opposed to autocracy. And I think that is one thing to be caught up in the heat of a campaign. It's another thing to say that I want to completely overhaul how we govern and what we stand for as a nation. And that is the line they have began to cross in the politics of some of those that are running in the Republican primary.
You too, First Bud. Nothing is over. We're not letting this go. I'm just like Rambo. Nothing is over. Son, let it go. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. That's how I feel. Dang on it. So yes, tear it down, man. Tear it down. Legally. Okay? I ain't talking about like Antifa style, burning stuff down. Talking about legally.
No. You guys are prosecuting your political opponents. We didn't cross that threshold. You started it. This is an institutional crisis for them. This is a legitimacy crisis.
Why?
This, I think, is only the first inning. We are just getting started. They don't even know the damage that they are bringing upon themselves. They're in this legitimacy doom loop downward spiral. Every time they want to bolster their legitimacy, they go and they do something like attacking their political opponent. But they don't realize, because they're so dumb, that when they attack their political opponents and they use these institutions that once had some legitimacy, actually undermine their legitimacy. Everybody recognizes they are corrupt, but they keep doing it. They're going to try again for a fourth indictment. We're going to see how it works out for them. So they're destroying their own institutions. It's not us doing anything. We're just sitting here. We're just commenting on this damn show trial situation that's happening in this country. They're doing it, not us.
Bam! Y'all hear that? They're doing it, not us. They brought it on themselves. They ain't going to, like me as a kid. Don't know when to quit. My mama finally get tired and go to work on me. And I'm over, I hate you. I can't believe you. Hit me. You brought it on yourself. I want you to sit back and think about how you got here. What choices did you make to where I had to hang up the phone with my friend Becky, grab the belt or whatever was handy? Because sometimes it was a belt, sometimes it was a racetrack, sometimes it was a switch, sometimes it was a fist. Yeah, now I got to grab stuff and go to work on you, little Kevin. That's what I had to do. Now, before you get mad at me, you think about what made me have to do this to you. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We done tried some cases tonight, even though my stuff was glitching up and pausing and all of that mess. But I couldn't pump the brakes, man. I had to finish it. Thank you. Somebody said, great show. I appreciate that. So I'm hoping Trump's legal team is seeing all of this evidence right here that would destroy their narratives. And my goal is to inform the public and give them some talking points to expose this garbage. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping as I bust these clips up and put them up, upload them onto the internet, certain things where you hear people jump out there and say stupid stuff. Trump's evil. I need people to see who's really behind all this stuff and how bootleg this indictment is and all of that. So I'm going to do that for you guys. I appreciate everything that you guys have been doing. Don't forget, like I said, man, I hate to do it, but this might be my let's give YouTube a black eye / help Kevin combat this censorship foundational show. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show, if everybody who watched just this one, see, I'm not greedy, just this one. So that means if anybody don't watch this show, then they're not going to be privy to this. But just one show. I said I'm going to pick one show and say if everybody who watches this one show, if they could, give a $10, offering, that's the only term I know, you know what I'm saying, to my Cash App or PayPal, it'll give them a black eye and it'll set me straight so I don't have to rely on them for a little bit, just a little bit. After a while, they're coming after me, y'all. I'm gonna let you know they're coming after me. Not only did they remove our last live stream on some bootleg mess, talking about some of, well, yeah, you violated copyright issues. And that live stream last time was great. It was giving them all kind of black eyes. And they removed it. Then they took the money from the people who gave during the super chat. I don't know where it's at. From the super chat. Don't know where it's at. So I don't rely on them anymore. And I don't rely on the super chat. I thank y'all so much for giving in the super chat. But unfortunately, they're trying to make, you know what it is? They're trying to coach me into quitting. That's what it is. I had a boss one time. He said that. He said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to coach people into quitting. It's like a guy coaching a girl to break up with him or vice versa. Just become a jerk. Finally, you know what? This is not, I'm not getting anything out of it. I want out. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess you want out. It's up to you. But you did everything you could to make her miserable. You wanted her to tap out. And that's what they want me to do, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make them break it. So we got to support each other. And honestly, as a proud man, I hate even having to bring this up. Dang on it. But until I figure out my way around it, I got to deal with it. So anything you guys can do, it'll be great. And it starts with this too. So they can't mess around and, bypass the dang on notification. So please text this number 330-974-4607 and then text MAGA to it. I'll respond and then I will send out messages to all of y'all. And if you are signed up under that other number, please do this to this number too, because like I said, it's limited on the amount of text messages I can send through that other line. All right. And I will figure out how to make these text messages through this number be individual. So y'all don't get caught up in a text chain where you're chatting and stuff like that. I'm going to do my best. Now, hit that like button, share my videos, follow me on all the other platforms. Don't forget to check out all of these that are converted into podcasts. And check me out on Rumble. Subscribe to my alternative channel just in case they bounce me off of this one. Okay. And we'll see how things work out moving forward. And boy, I can't wait to see when they call Nasty and all of them to that mic. Boy, that's going to be a day. All right. God bless y'all. God bless America. We see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. Let's back. I know you see where we tear up the place, yeah. Take care.